Who's Bob?
Yeah. The mature people,
Yeah, exactly.
not old.
Like me.
Mics are hot.
You do know that I don't have any hard feelings towards you.
I know
You
that.
do know. Okay, I
Listen,
just want to be sure you know.
Listen, it was one of those
And then
things
you're late.
where Tenrington and the fire chief came to us and we
Oh,
were
I
going to
know.
sue,
Yep, I know.
and we were just put between a rock and a hard
That
place.
doesn't matter because I know what's going on.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but I want you to know because you are ill and I
Yeah.
pray for you.
Yeah. Thank
I want
you.
you to know I don't have that.
I'm not going to make it to 4 years.
Well, I just, you know what happened to me with you guys getting rid of me was the best thing that could ever happen.
Okay.
It gave me 8 months
To take care of me.
and I got to spend time with him because he died after that. So
He did.
I'm so grateful that I look at the sunshine instead of the negative.
You have to.
Yeah, and it's not, but it doesn't pay
Yeah.
to look at negativity all the
It was
time.
his
I
nuts
can't
to
do it.
begin.
But I wanted to share that with you because when I tell people that, they say, wow, I didn't know you felt, well, what's better than having time with
Yeah.
the person I loved?
And I can't tell you how bad I felt.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm
Yeah.
over it
John.
and I'm fine.
John.
But thank you for saying that.
Call to order, Charter Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees, regular meeting, April 22nd, 6:37 PM. Roll call, please.
Trustee Buckley.
Here.
Trustee Clinton.
Here.
Supervisor Kermy.
Here.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Here.
Trustee Grove.
Here and it's 6:31, not 6:37.
Yeah, the crazy.
Oh, that's right.
Trustee
Correction.
Stewart. Clerk Vorba here. We have a quorum.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have a recognition of Arbor Day, which is today. No, today's Earth Day. But we've been a tree city for a while. And one of the requirements of being a tree city is to recognize Arbor Day. We are hosting an Arbor Day event, which is going to be a big tree hunt sponsored by Adient, the maker of automotive seats based in Plymouth, Michigan. And that will be kicking off on April 25th. So additional information is on our website, and we have a proclamation here. I'll hold it up, that we are recognizing Arbor Day 2025, and it's kind of cool that today's Earth Day. When was Earth Day started? 1969, maybe? It's been a while.
About that time.
I remember it. So, next item is approval of the agenda.
Mr. Supervisor, I move for the approval of the agenda for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025.
Second.
Second by Grove. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, approval of the consent agenda. And we've done the minutes. We have an appointment of Joe Riley to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Some of you may recognize him. He was appointed to the DDA, but since we had too many members on the DDA, we had to ask him to resign, so we're appointing him to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Joe, just stand up so people know who you are. Also wanted to call your attention to the Planning Commission Annual Report, which is a useful document for history. Next item is public comment.
Well, we need to do the
Oh,
consent
yeah,
agenda. Okay.
we have to take a resolution, right?
Mr. Supervisor, I move for the approval of the consent agenda for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, and this requires a roll call vote. I need a second.
Second?
Second by Growth. Clerk Forba, yes. Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Growth?
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Kermy?
Yes.
Trustee Clinton?
Yes.
Trustee Buckley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So new, public comment, limited to 3 minutes on non-agenda items. You will be allowed to speak on agenda items when we reach that item later in the meeting.
Okay.
So, we have one person already here. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, hi, I'm Kurt Heisey, 9054 Muirland, Plymouth Township. I'm just here tonight to thank the Board of Trustees and the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board and the other elected and appointed officials who were very diligent in making sure that we obeyed the law, that we were fully transparent, and that we complied with all of the requirements necessary arising out of the Northville Downs case. Now, I know we all take a lot of heat for that case, but I'm happy to say, and I think you all have copies in front of you, that the judge, a federal judge, yesterday afternoon dismissed the case with prejudice, which means you cannot bring it back to federal court under any circumstances. The federal judge also ruled that while there is a possibility for a state claim to arise, the state claims are even worse than the claims that were brought in federal court. And I'm sure that Wayne County is not going to be very interested in hearing a case that's already been thoroughly rejected at the federal level. But no matter what, I think it shows that we as a township did the right thing. We complied with the law. We listened to our township attorney. We listened to our planner. We authorized the township attorney and myself to negotiate in good faith. And unfortunately, those negotiations stalled for a variety of reasons. We don't need to relive that. But I think the important thing is that we succeeded in a motion to dismiss that was filed by Matt Zalewski and Kevin Bennett. That motion was heard at some point. We never had, I don't think we ever had oral argument on it that I'm aware of. And it's known as a ruling on basically on the merits. And so there was no depositions, there was no discovery, very little discovery, maybe some emails, but otherwise it was a motion to dismiss on the merits of the case. And as I pointed out, over a year ago, this case had no merit. And I was very hopeful for a dismissal to avoid a trial, and we got our wish on that one. So again, I want to congratulate all of you for sticking with it, for being part of the process. I know not all of you voted on it, but for those who did, John, Jerry, Bob, Jen, and others who are not with us tonight, thank you very much for your support. And this is a great day for Plymouth Township. We should all be proud of our accomplishment and getting this unfortunate matter behind us. Thank you.
John, you can only, 30 seconds.
I'll wait till the end then.
Okay. Anyone else for non-agenda items? Right here, in the front. Is the sign-in sheet there so people can sign in ahead of time?
Pick the wrong
Speed things along?
audience.
He's already signed in. Go ahead.
Request.
Thanks, Roman.
Hit and run. Don't bother. Don't bother.
Good evening, everyone. The handout I gave to you this evening is twofold. The first part of the handout is just a formal request at a public comment to hopefully, at some point in the future, be put on the agenda to discuss the option of allowing our family business to do business in Plymouth Township by opting in and allowing us to open up a cannabis retail store. The second part of it, at the last meeting, Supervisor Kermy and Trustee Stewart were nice enough to offer me advice on some websites to visit. Supervisor Kermy gave me the Smart Approaches to Cannabis, and Trustee Stewart gave me the National Institute of Health. I've looked at those websites, I've taken a look at them, I look forward to discussing them down the road. In that information I've given you is just some more information that points out the pros of doing this type of movement, of having a cannabis-related store in the community. All I'm looking for is an opportunity to have a healthy presentation, open presentation, and afterward, I'm sure, a spirited and healthy discussion with the trustees, with the attending community, and I understand there's going to be supporters and non-supporters. Everyone has a viewpoint. But I do firmly believe it's at least time to revisit it, whether it's negative or positive. All I'm looking for is a chance or an opportunity to take a look and bring some new data, fresh data to the table, regardless of any pre-existing conditions that you may have on the topic. Because I do believe down deep, once I've had a chance to present, get supporters in the community, I think if we're open-minded and we do stay open to perspectives and different viewpoints, you guys will in the end appreciate my viewpoint as someone who's trying to open up a small family business that will do two things. It will benefit and financially contribute to the community, regardless of any personal feelings you have regarding the product that we sell. I try to make a habit of listening to understand people. I'll never listen just to react. So all I'm asking this evening, to take it with you, is be open-minded to the idea of revisiting it once. That's it. Whether it's positive or negative, those are the chances I take. By being open-minded, listen to me, understand where I'm coming from, but more importantly, all I'm asking is don't stigmatize a product, don't stigmatize a person who's an adult, 21 years of age, that has chosen a product, whether they do it medicinally or they do it recreationally, just to move it in that direction. The only disadvantage cannabis has in the community is it hasn't been legal long enough. We don't even think twice about alcohol, tobacco and gambling. It's been there so long as part of the fabric, so you don't even think twice about it. Marijuana's got a short time frame. So that's a disadvantage we're going to have to overcome. In my second public comment, I have had the pleasure of reading over the minutes of some comments that were made. I'll address those in the next public comment. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Next.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Patty Posios, 43005 Riverbend Drive. I've only lived here 4 years, but I'm still going to speak. So, just kidding. So, I want to say hello and thank everyone for letting me speak tonight. I wanted to bring to your attention the passage of, the citizens of Plymouth Township, a new tax that's going to be on the ballot in 2026. As you may recall, Plymouth Township has had the right since the mid-90s to opt out of the smart bus system. That right was taken away from us by Lansing in the last lame duck session, in December of 2024. So Plymouth Township residents will now face a new tax for a bus system that we largely will not use. To raise attention on this, we are hosting an information session. This is a bipartisan, everyone's invited. It is hosted by Plymouth Canton Republicans Club, Northville Republicans Club, and Livonia, because we're all affected. It is on May 5th at Phoenix Mill Events. I have some flyers, which I will leave at the back. And that's it. So
Where will it be held?
Thank you.
At Phoenix Mill?
Phoenix Mill, okay, thank you.
Yeah, on May 5th at 7:30. Registration starts at 6:30. Sorry, I should have printed this, but I ran out of time getting home from work. So I look forward to seeing everybody there. I hope you can make it. Like I said, this is bipartisan. It is hosted by Republicans Club, but Even as soon as recently as December, the mayor of Livonia and the Canton Township supervisor were both on the record opposed to this and not seeing the benefit to the community as it stands right now. We won't have a say where the buses are gonna go. And it's not like you can say like, oh, there's no parking in downtown Plymouth, I'm gonna go hop on the bus and get down there. No, it's not something that is convenient necessarily to us. So anyway, I just encourage everyone to get informed. This will be a renewal for the communities that had not previously opted out, but there were 17 communities in Wayne County that had opted out, and Lansing took that away from us. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, it's on my calendar.
okay, thank you.
The early thinking is that they will request at least 1 mil.
Wow.
Also, 5 o'clock on May 5.
That's equivalent to 20% of what you pay
Right.
for the township today. You pay 5 mils today.
John was making a statement.
No. Also
Oh, I'm
on,
sorry.
also on May 5 is the showcase of businesses at St. John at 5 o'clock, and I have both on my calendar, and then heading over to Phoenix Mill in lovely Plymouth Township.
That's why we started a little later so people could be involved.
Going to provide bus transportation to those meetings?
All right.
Is that or, okay. Hi, my name is Miriam Cady, 38419 Westland, on Mays. And I am here, first of all, I want to say thank you to Supervisor, Board of Trustees, Administration, all of you for listening for 3 minutes. I am here to talk about Relay for Life. So I am part of the lead team for Relay for Life, Westland, Western Wayne County, and get closer. And I want to tell you that we updated our name to add Western Wayne County because there's so many surrounding communities that don't have their relays anymore or have never experienced relays. So we are here to invite you, Plymouth Township, to be a part of our Relay for Life. Our main event is on June 7th, which is a Saturday, Tanton Park in Westland. And it starts at 11 a.m. opening ceremony and it goes till midnight. Some of you might know about Relay and some might not, but it's an amazing event. It's for all cancers. We raise as much money as we can throughout the year and at the main event, and we make it family friendly. We honor our survivors. Our opening ceremony starts with a little bit of a talk, survivor talking, and then survivors and caregivers start our event, and we treat them to a luncheon. And throughout the day, we have things. We have one of our laps that we do is honoring our first responders. So the police and fire, EMS, whoever's the first responder, we want to honor you. And throughout the day, we're actually celebrating 25 years. I can't believe it. So we're really happy about that. And we're really about celebrating more birthdays. So that's what it's about. But we want to invite you in some way if you want to participate, if you just want to come and see what it's all about. We have sponsorships if you're a survivor. Our website tells you a lot. It's www.relayforlife.org/Westland Wayne MI. So that I'll also pass out some flyers. So there's so much to talk about, but I know I don't have much time, so I'll pass out the flyers. But it's really to invite you to be a part of the experience and to get rid of this terrible, horrible disease. And we're just keep on fighting until it's gone. And that's what we're raising the money for, to help with rides to your appointments, research. A lot of it stays in the communities. So we want you to be a part of it. And we hope that you'll consider that. If you know how to get a hold of me, a lot of you know me. But of course, on our website too, once again, my name is Miriam Cady, and I am part of the lead team. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
Mary.
going to pass out some flyers, okay? Do you want to do? Okay.
Next. Make sure you're signed in.
And here's one sponsorship so that people will know. Sorry, I'll get out of your way in a second here. Okay, I think I gave you time at least, thank you.
Maddie, you took cuts.
You already signed in. You should have known me by name, Chuck.
My name is Dale Bernhardt. At a previous board meeting, I stated local governments have an obligation to keep taxes as low as possible, and that local governments need to scrutinize every line item in the budgets to reduce waste, fraud, and abuse. In the current board member packet, I discovered that the clerk's office is storing security equipment at Risen Christ Church. That church is charging our taxpayers $150 a month to store the equipment. There is no election until at least August 2026 when the equipment will be needed. My question is, why have we left the equipment there? We don't have our own storage space? By keeping the equipment at Risen Christ, Clerk Vorva has already made up his mind that the taxpayers will again be given that church probably another $50,000 for early voting, just like we did in 2024. Has Clerk Vorva conducted any competitive bidding? Because there may be other options that are more centrally located than Risen Christ and much less expensive. Another example of no effort by Clerk Vorva to exercise fiscal responsibility is the clerk's request to hire another employee to fill the vacancy of one who left the clerk's office. The word on the street is the employee who left was dissatisfied with the lack of work to do. In other words, the employee was not busy and was many times bored. So to hire an employee at this time, when there is no election in 2025, makes absolutely no sense. Clerk Vorva has stated that the clerk's office needs to remove 900 voters from the voter rolls, so he needs another employee. But employees who have removed voters in the past from the rolls have stated this
Dale?
does not constitute a work overload.
Dale, do we want to discuss this when we're on the item, or do you want to continue?
Okay.
The rule,
It's an agenda.
You're going to be able to speak on this, on the agenda item.
This was not the resolution, correct?
When you say you mean
You're speaking about something that's already.
we're
in
going to
the
talk
packet.
about it
on the
again.
agenda.
Okay.
So wrap up what you got, and then you'll be able to talk again.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
but we
that's
need to
that's
have a
fine.
Consistency.
I was trying to keep it away from an agenda item, which I didn't think it was the agenda item.
The agenda.
Well, let me just finish up then. It is clear that Clerk Vorva is very good at spending taxpayers' money, even though much of his spending does not produce worth for the township citizens. Time to remove Clerk Vorva's hands from the till. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Chuck already knows my name, obviously. Probably his assistant as well, because
We're not
Calling
hearing you
on-
really well. I don't know if there's. a
I'm Maddie.
problem.
I live
Okay,
on Michael Drive, the East Lawn neighborhood. It's normally what I'm here for. But I want to know if there's been any resolution on why my house is cracking from the construction. You guys said you'd check into that, if they might be using the wrong equipment. It's still cracking.
So did you
I
you talked to Strunk?
They
and-
don't have anything to say.
They have to, well, they told me they filed, or you need to file.
They didn't tell me anything.
Well,
They
they told
said
me
they've
that.
never
So what
seen this
we'll do-
before in their life of a house cracking from construction.
So I will talk to Jeremy and Strunk, and they will give you the instructions to get the information to this was weeks ago that I was
No,
under the
they ne-
understanding that they had
Chuck, they
processed
don't
it.
talk to us about the construction they're doing. Oh, we're gonna put flyers out. We're gonna have meetings. Never. They blocked my driveway off for like 3 hours. No one came to my door to say, hey,
All right,
we're
today
blocking your
in a
driveway
staff
off.
meeting, they said they handed out suppliers.
Nope.
or supply-
Rarely.
flyers. All right.
They like to skip my house. I also have some cracked concrete in front of my house from them. They've marked off a lot of the sidewalk, but mine are not marked. So
They're not going to replace
They're-
existing sidewalk.
they cracked it though.
Well,
Like they cracked it.
They're going to be making judgments, and then if it needs to be replaced, they will. Otherwise, they will leave it until the sidewalk replacement.
But I'm not paying for it. They should pay for it.
If they
Why would I
cracked
pay
it,
for a
then they will
concrete
pay for- we will-
slab they paid for?
These people, the township is paying for it.
I don't care. My taxes go to the township. They should be paying for it. They're ruining our neighborhood. We have no more trees left. Even my little pine tree I planted in the fall, I talked to Philip, hey, do I have to move my pine tree? You don't have to move your pine tree. We're not gonna be anywhere near your pine tree. My pine tree, they moved it for me, but it's this tall, half of the branches are gone. They will never grow back. That's how pine trees operate.
Right.
So they tell us one thing and then go, oh yeah, we actually don't know the work that they're doing. The nicest people are the actual union employees that are doing the work. It is not the engineers. They are horrible to talk to, but they do not communicate anything to us. They even told us originally they would be having more meetings with us. They have not. Besides our first meeting in the rain on the corner in the dark.
Yeah, I was there.
Right, but that was the only one. We get nothing. And our neighborhood's gonna look like a brand new ugly development with no trees.
The
And they
man who
told
was
us.
here before, this was his plan.
I know it was, but.
Unfortunately, I
but
can't fix it.
You can't fix what's being done, but you can fix the process of it going on. Like I said, my sidewalk, I even emailed Philip about my sidewalk. You can clearly see the marks because they smash into all of our sidewalks with the backhoes and scratch it. But mine is like smashed with the scratches on it. And I emailed him about it, and my sidewalk has not been marked at all. They marked my neighbor's sidewalk.
All right, they haven't put the forms in place for sidewalk, so we have time, so I will be out there again. We talked about this in a staff meeting today, and I was assured that everything was proceeding on time and that the sidewalks were being looked at.
Well, it's on time because they don't care what they do. They've broken our trees and everything. But another thing is, you've been telling my neighbors with the sidewalk that it's the contractor's decision?
No, that's not true. I have never said that. The
Well, no,
decision
like
for
to
the
talk to
sidewalk is
them.
mine.
But then the contractor says, no, we have nothing to do with that.
Well, then you're not talking to the right person. So you come to me. I texted your neighbor today and told her exactly who's making a decision. And she needs to find 4 people to sign the petition, and she can't do it.
I'm just saying, because we're not gonna have a nice neighborhood. Sometimes I regret moving to Plymouth.
I feel bad for that, but the man that was here before, this was
I know.
his invention.
But
And I tried to stop it, but the attorneys and all of the
it can
people
be
involved said
better
it was
during
not
it.
possible.
It can be better during it.
All right, I take that. We'll work it. We only have 6 more weeks and they're gone, I hope.
I'm Dwayne Zanton.
Got to speak closer into the mic.
I already did. Okay. The American Bar Association has ethical standards for elections, including these standards are the following. Treat all participants in the election process impartially. Election officials have an obligation to treat all participants in the election process impartially, including voters and candidates. During the last election, Clerk Vorba's staff, Joseph Takas, Bill Heitman, and Jerry Vorba made inaccurate and disparaging remarks on social media about candidates that Vorba was not supporting. Takas and Heitman even went so far as to take pictures to intimidate citizens. I believe in the First Amendment, but when employed by the clerk's office, they should act in a professional, neutral, unbiased behavior. It appears Jerry Vorga encouraged bad behavior, or at least condoned it, favoring his agenda. I don't believe that anyone displaying biased behavior has any business working in the clerk's office. I learned from a good source that Jennifer Wells and Joseph Takas were locked in a room in the early voting center, constantly watching the cameras outside for non-supporters of the former supervisor's slate for potential campaign violations. Our clerk's office weaponized and used lawfare against potential political opponents during the last election. I believe Jerry Vorba put Jennifer Wells up to when she made the following false accusations about me. I was accused of voter intimidation in campaigning within 100 feet of the early voting center. If convicted, it would have been a $500 fine or 90 days in jail. On July 27th of last year, I went to the early voting center and walked up the driveway and sat down temporarily on my rollator while waiting for my friends to move over so I could join them on the grass. I was not in any violation of any election laws because I did not talk to anyone, hold a sign, or wear any political articles. In a very short period of time, Jennifer election worker Jennifer Wells stormed out of the building and accused me of campaigning close to the building. I informed her I was not in any violation. She stated in her police report that she requested me move over several times, which was absolutely not true. Jerry Vorba was on the other side of the sidewalk, and I think he called her out of the building to harass me. These false accusations were turned over to Dana Nessel for prosecution. I've gone through hell the last 7 months. Jennifer Wells should not be employed in the clerk's office because of this behavior. Fortunately, I had the means to hire an attorney, and after she presented the frivolous facts, the charges were dismissed by the judge in court yesterday.
Wayne, wrap it up. Are you done?
Okay, I'm done. There's the dismissal charge right there. I love it. I'm going to hang it on my wall in a frame. Thank you.
We're sorry.
Mary Pine, 47-year resident. Instead of working together for the community's priorities and fiscal responsibilities, we have been witnessing continued gamesmanship, manipulations, and threats. Disturbingly, Jerry, when Chuck suggested a lower-cost solution to $300,000, less thought-out budgeted solution to the sprayscape, you called foul and used repugnant verbiage. Apparently, you and/or Kurt also appear to have orchestrated biased and unresearched press not serving our community well. Then when Chuck announced a $50,000 accelerated solution saving $250,000, you announced that another administration could have done that, but they had not. The prior administration's recurring mindset was that the taxpayers' money was theirs to spend carelessly without considering priorities. This cavalier attitude was also expressed with your "thou dost protest too much" approach to explain why public comments were not recorded live in an important meeting, which left residents doubting your integrity and that of the employees responsible for recording or their competency. Also, you argued against a state study supported by Chuck to consider a high-pressure sewer line in lieu of a waste treatment plant, gambling that the developer could be bluffed into not doing his development at the plant, as the plant would result in diminution of value for his houses. You did not address our residents' diminution of property values if the waste treatment plant was built due to the prevailing west winds that would blow into the township. However, that was no surprise, because of your enthusiastic support of the racetrack with this associated 7 to 10% diminution of our property values according to currently active realtors. Instead, you mocked residents' concerns and priorities. Additionally, last year, Jerry, you paid $50,000 for an early voting site at Risen Christ Church without revealing a conflict of interest. Later, you presented 9 charts on the process, they're in here, with only 3 being relevant. The first 2, how voters voted, show how many early voters there were for the 2 primaries in the general election. Your data showed that only 3 to 4 voters per hour voted in the primaries, showing no need for Risen Christ. This was a waste of $33,000. The third chart, average voters per hour, is attempted to correlate early voting rates with election day voting at the precincts where there was no correlation. Issues of voting space, parking space, and voter and vehicle throughput were ignored and no benchmarking attempted. There was no factual validation of the $17,000 for the election day voting. You are still paying Risen Christ election money each month for storage, indicating your plan to use them again, apparently if it's in your budget and you plan to spend it, even if it's not justified. This inefficiency does not speak well of your administrative skills. You keep telling us how hard the new election laws are, but you appear to be using these for your own agenda. Responsible administrators look at hours, not heads. A major issue driven by this inefficiency and poor management is that it directly affects the township's ability to support firefighters and police. We need first responders, not clerical workers. You demonstrate a lack of insight on the township's basic priorities and a disregard for fiscal responsibility. And please, stop being the boy who cried wolf.
Laura is the person that gets those, right? Is that right, or if it's not,
That's good.
give it to Jerry.
That's
Whatever,
good.
whatever works.
She's recording secretary. It's good.
Do we have anyone else that wants to speak on non-agenda items? All right. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the fire department approval of replacing a leaking sprinkler system in the building and a fire alarm system and the associated reconstruction of the tile, which will have to be removed as part of the change-out of the sprinklers. This station is built in about 1991, and it has a dry system which corroded, which is about the normal life, apparently. Go ahead.
You covered it pretty well.
Not much more to say.
No, we want you to,
The one addition on this is to bring this system up, when we replace the system, we have to add the fire alarm system. There's not currently a fire alarm system in Station 3. So to bring it up to code, it has to be added. So that's one addition. And the reason there's only one bid on that is that's a preferred township vendor, does all our alarms. We want to keep it with the same, so we're not like doing one company here, one company there.
and I think it's 8 weeks, they may be able to start the job.
Hopefully.
And anything else to add?
No, I think we covered it. pretty much.
This
Any
is in the
questions from board?
budget. It's a little over budget, so I'm going to, the chief and I are working to try to get the tile bid down. These are acoustical tiles from 8,200 to see if we could find a lower cost alternative. This is not high-tech work. It's cutting a round hole and putting the tile back
There's
in
There's a
place.
lot, so it's the whole building. So we, I budgeted $135,000 this year for it, and the extra $3,700 will come out of our land and building repair.
Right, and I'm
basically
hoping
that
we
fund's
get
for.
lucky and find somebody to do it for a lower cost, but that's a wish right now that we're working on. Since we're on this building, some of you may notice that the clock works and it's lighted with LED lights for the first time since about 2007. Randy Maycock was the chief last year when it worked.
And that's 3 chiefs ago, so.
Yeah, so it looks nice, and it sends a message when your clocks are working that you're paying attention. It's kind of a psychological thing.
Somebody.
It was right twice a day before.
All right, anything else?
No, just
Nope.
any questions
All
from the
right,
board?
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the Board of Trustees does hereby adopt resolution number 2025-04-22-35 to replace the fire suppression system, ceiling tiles, and install a fire alarm system at Fire Station 3, located at 13600 Beck Road, for a cost not to exceed $140,000.
Second it.
Second by Growth. Clerk Warbeck, yes. Supervisor Kermy,
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz,
Yes.
Trustee Stewart,
Yes.
Trustee Buckley,
Yes.
Trustee Clinton,
Yes.
and Trustee Stewart.
John, did you answer? Oh,
I said yes.
Okay.
I didn't hear.
I said yes
Okay, I'm sorry.
already.
It was missing me.
It's missing you, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Growth, I'm sorry. Trustee Growth.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
All right, item F2, which is a text amendment to the zoning ordinance for a thing that is more communicative. When you drive by a parcel that is being rezoned, you see a sign that says this property is being proposed to be rezoned with a date. And we were having some confusion. It's not required by law, but we wanted to put it in our policy. And Laura Hall will explain any more detail on that so we don't have confusion. We had to repeat, I think, 2 meetings because there was concern that the dates were wrong on the signs that were being displayed. So we're trying to avoid that. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees. Laura Hall with McKenna. As supervisor Kermey stated, this is a text amendment to the zoning ordinance that would require an applicant, whether they are submitting an application for rezoning or a cluster housing or a PUD, to physically install a sign on the property. And this would outline the specific requirements for placement, size, what content must be displayed on the sign, standards for timing, when it must be installed and when it must be removed. Right now, this is just a long-standing policy of the township. There's nothing formally written to this extent that outlines the process and requirements for applicants. So this will provide a more transparent and streamlined process for not just the applicants, but also the public, to ensure that there's consistency with applications and how that information is transmitted. The Planning Commission discussed this at several meetings earlier this year, and then on March 26th, they held a public hearing. There were no public comments related to this item, and then the Commission unanimously recommended approval of the text amendment to the Board of Trustees. As a text amendment to the zoning ordinance, only one review is required by the board. However, approval of this does require an affirmative vote by a majority. The township attorney has reviewed this language and has found it acceptable. There is a proposed motion in here to adopt the resolution, which would amend Article 2. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So historically, has the township been paying the cost to put the sign up, or has the developer or whoever it is, are they paying for the sign?
The developer has.
Okay, so they would continue to do that, but you just want this in written, as a written policy, so they understand that that they're required to do that.
It's part of the ordinance.
I think it is.
Correct.
Yes,
Not
and
as a
part of the
policy,
ordinance.
as
Okay,
ordinance.
makes sense.
Exactly.
By the way, it costs between $700 and $1,000 to put one of these signs up. So some developers feel that they don't want to do it, but we're going to continue doing it because it provides communication as people drive around in their neighborhood. They may be beyond the 300-foot notice rule, which is required by law for a rezoning, but this way, when they drive out of their neighborhood or down the road, they will see it.
Okay, ready for a resolution?
Let me do it.
I move to adopt
No, hold
resolution.
on, he wants to
Go
do
ahead.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Who
Go
wants
ahead.
to do it?
Go ahead.
Finish.
No, go ahead. That's
No,
all right. We're at
after
the
you.
planning
Go ahead.
commission.
I insist.
You insist, okay. Bob insists that I move to adopt resolution 2025-04-22-36, authorizing adoption of a text amendment to zoning ordinance number 99, amending Article 2 to provide sign notice standards for certain planning and zoning applications as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Seconded.
Second by Dorchevitz. Supervisor Kermey.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Grove.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
So now we will talk about item F3, which is strictly discussion, a presentation from the Plymouth Community Council on Aging that is conducting the programs at Friendship Station. Friendship Station is on Schoolcraft Road. It is a former church that the township bought in about 1981 with federal money, and we pay for all of the maintenance, all of the utilities, and we own the building. But the programming is not part of Plymouth Township, and we have the director of the Plymouth Community Council on Aging here to speak, and Cindy Morency, who's their treasurer, and we also have our employee, who is Kim Boyce, who manages the senior transportation, which is the van system we have with an organized schedule for residents of Plymouth Township and the city of Plymouth. After this, we'll be open to some discussion by various people, and this has been spurred by some financial squeeze and some desire by board members to want to hear more about what they do there. And there's been some press about this, and we want to communicate in a clear, logical fashion about this.
Are we ready?
Which presentation do you want? This one?
you want to do the transportation first?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that, transportation first. This is Kim Boyce.
Thank you to the trustees for having us and letting us come and speak and explain to you and the community on exactly what we do. There's a lot of confusion on who's what and what exactly we do. So my name's Kimberly Boyce. I am the Senior Transportation Manager and the Senior Center of the Friendship Station Building Manager.
Excuse me, can everybody hear her, or do you
I'm
need to
sorry.
speak closer?
They know I have a big mouth. Okay. The Plymouth Community Senior Transportation is owned and operated by the Charter Township of Plymouth in partnership with the City of Plymouth. The Plymouth Community Senior Transportation Dispatch Office is located in the Friendship Station Senior Center. There are 2 township employees, myself, and then there's one driver who's our office support as well. And the senior transportation is funded by the Community Development Block Grant, and there's an explanation for how that's determined. Smart credits, the Charter Township of Plymouth based on the ridership, the City of Plymouth based on the ridership. The transportation is not part of the Plymouth Community Council on Aging. We are definitely a township, we're township employees. And this is some stats if you just want to take a look. I just put it up there. We have 110 registered riders who are 60 or older, 50 of which are Plymouth residents, 60 are Plymouth Township residents. And the overall usage for 2024 was 34, that should be reversed. Whoops, sorry about that. It's reversed. It's 34% is the township and 66% is the city. Sorry, I changed that slide at the last minute.
Well, it looks right, it said the city is 66%, right? Blue?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yes,
Looks
thank you,
right.
Chuck, sorry about that. Okay. And this is a little information on how it became the Friendship Station Senior Center, and you can just scroll through that. This is where they inspected it, and then they started to get ready to name it. And then the next slide is they elected officers, and I have that at the station. If anybody's interested, I have the whole big board of it. The Friendship Station was purchased by the Charter Township of Plymouth in 1981 for use as a senior center. Again, 2 township employees, myself and our driver. In 2015, the Plymouth Community Council on Aging was given a resolution for the Plymouth Township Board, from the Plymouth Township Board of Trustees for use of the building Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And then the PCC also receives in-kind donations from the Plymouth Township, including office space at Plymouth Township Hall and at the Friendship Station, and the use of the Friendship Station to provide senior programs. Plymouth Township maintains all repairs, utilities, and supplies at the Friendship Station. The Plymouth Community Council on Aging is not a department of the Charter Township of Plymouth or the City of Plymouth. And the Plymouth Community Senior Transportation is not part of the Plymouth Community Council on Aging. We always get grouped together because we work very closely together. That's it.
We have any questions on transportation at this time?
Can you tell us how much money is generally derived from the Community Development Block Grant Program from the city and also from the township? I'm curious to know, is it based on usage or is it just a set amount that they provide?
So with the township, they split that grant with us and the PCCA.
Okay, so
And then the
they provide
city.
money to PCCA?
Correct.
And money for transportation?
And then the city, I believe, gives the whole amount in their smart credits.
The total of $20,000
Yes,
that Plymouth
correct.
Township gets in a grant that is transferred to PCCA and senior transportation.
Correct.
And I think it's 8,500 versus 1,100, 500. Who gets the most? PCCA.
Yeah, I think they do.
Okay, so PCCA gets the most, and how much are you getting from the city of Plymouth?
I believe the transportation receives the whole amount from the grant.
Do you know what that full amount is that they get? And I realize that could change.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. That goes through the finance department.
Okay, thank you.
I'm probably going to have to read this. Hello, I'm Bobby Pummel, the Director of the Council on Aging, and I want to thank you for letting us come here and explain what we do and how we operate. And I would begin by going to who we are. I'm going to have to use glasses somewhere. Okay, well, wrong glasses. What did I do with my glasses? No, I found them. Too many pairs of glasses. Okay, who we are. The Plymouth Community Council on Aging is a 501c3 nonprofit organized to coordinate and operate programs and services which address the needs of senior citizens in the Plymouth community. We operate with a governing board of volunteer community members, a full-time director, and a contract finance manager. We are the only Wayne County community without a tax-based operating senior center. In 2015, the PCCA was given the opportunity by Plymouth Township to utilize as in-kind the Friendship Station as our base of operations. This one. What we do. Senior services. The PCCA provides senior resources and assistance for housing, home care, caregiver support, veterans assistance, Medicare, Medicaid guidance, Meals on Wheels, Focus Hope, medical equipment loan closet, elder law, wellness calls and visits. What? To name a few. Oh, to name a few, that's right. Resources are also provided to caretakers and extended family members. The community seniors served office calls for 2024 were 3,136. Office visits were 307. Programs. We have fitness. Health and fitness is a top priority to maximize the quality of life and assist in the retention of independence. We have 2 classes, cardio, strength and flex, and toning with tunes. Health, wellness, and other presentations. Matter of balance, brain aerobics, hospice resources, diabetes workshops, hearing tests, physical therapy, fall prevention, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and vision. We also work with the Plymouth Township Police Department for fraud and scam presentations quarterly. Thank you so much for that. And Plymouth Township Fire Department for blood pressure and sugar checks and fire safety presentations. Arts and humanities. Programs include activities to keep the body and mind fit. Musical performances, book and author presentations, historian presentations, trivia, media library, and our social programs, to name a few, theme and holiday luncheons, movie day, coffee and chat, monthly bingo, game day, Christmas and Easter pancake breakfast, and our annual Senior Fest picnic fundraiser. Who we serve. The PCCA currently has 476 members, ages 55 and up. You do not have to be a member to receive services, resources, or attend programs. 65% are Plymouth Township residents. 25% are City of Plymouth residents. 10% are from other communities, Canton, Northville, Westland, and Livonia. And at this time, for this slide, Cindy Morency, our finance manager.
Hello, everybody. We're going to take a look at this chart, and it's going to give you an idea of when we started. In the year 2016, we started tracking our numbers of participants at the Friendship Station. That was, we recorded 1,397 when we first started. Last year, we had 3,852. So each year is progressively going up higher. So what are the reasons that that's happening? First of all, we got to use the Friendship Station. Before that, we had no home base. Everything was spread out all over wherever we could find a room available. Secondly, there's been a huge increase in the senior population in both the township and the city. And then because of the Friendship Station, we're able to increase what we can offer everybody. So that supports why that's raising. Okay, so how we do it, this is the revenue that it takes to support us. We operate on a $100,000 budget, which is totally separate from the township. The PCCA is a 501c, a separate organization, a separate entity. Okay, so we're supported by the Plymouth United Way, fundraising, sponsors and donations, the portion of the block grant that they were talking about, grants, our membership dues contribute, and then some of our program service fees. It's a big puzzle that all has to fall into place. Okay.
Are those programs that you talked about, like, for instance, Pi Day or?
Yep, some of the luncheons and the larger
Those are pretty much pay
programs.
as you go, so the people who participate
Yes,
pay
yep.
a fee, and does that cover the cost of those particular
When we,
programs?
when we do the budgeting, we try to break even on those by getting a sponsor to, so we can keep the ticket prices low, make it affordable for everybody. Yep. All right, so on the flip side of that are the operating expenses. And like I just said, we budget to break even, hopefully. So looking at our pie chart this way, the salaries make up a big portion
90%, right?
because, yeah,
Well, contract is.
when you
is
offer
salary too.
contract, yep, that includes my salary and our instructors.
Would be 84 then.
They're on 1099s. Programs are 11%. The insurance, office, and business, very low. Obviously, when you offer human services, it's not revenue producing. So that's why the salaries take up most of that budget. You're not bringing in any sales. I did. Okay, so where are we going? This chart was taken from the census, taking a look at what's going to happen here in both of these communities, in the township and the city. So if you go over to the right column, you'll see they're predicting from 2020 to 2045, the senior population is going to go up 74% in the city and 80% in the township. Okay.
That's saying that, this is saying 80% of the population?
Oh, just the number of seniors.
Growth.
Yeah, over
growth.
65.
Delta.
Over 65.
It's a scary
Growth.
thought.
Okay, so the big question is, how do we get there and how are we going to handle all of these things? Right now, we have a really serious short-term challenge. We need some emergency funding. We need to raise more community awareness. A lot of people are saying we don't even know that the Friendship Station is there. We don't even know about the PCCA. We need to increase some community investment too. We need some support from some of the businesses and things that are here right in the community that the seniors attend. And really, for long-term sustainability, I think we're looking at something, a steady stream of funding that we could be guaranteed yearly as a portion of our budget, so we could piece together the rest of it by fundraising and the other things that I mentioned, just to keep this vital and present in the community.
When you look at funding, you are specifically looking primarily for funding for the salary of the person who's actually administering all the different programs.
Yes, basically.
Because that is a big part of your budget.
Yes, because she's the only employee, she facilitates all of the scheduling of all of the health and wellness presentations, organizes all the programs, the registrations, everything that goes on there. If we had 4,000 participants in 1 year, that's a lot. That's a lot. It's a full-time. She started at part-time when we got to the Friendship Station, and then had to move into full-time, obviously, because of the growth. And it's only going to expand because, the population's going to grow. So
What kind of success have you had with attempting to reach out to businesses, service groups? What kind of success have you had with actually raising funds to support your efforts?
Currently, thank you to all the generous people sitting here tonight and supporting us. They've rallied together and they've tried to, donate as much as they can. We have a GoFundMe account. I'm sure everybody has caught our interview on Channel 4. That helps some exposure.
We've certainly heard about it.
We did too. Thank you to, we've met with the Wayne County Commissioners. Yep.
What was the Friendship Station used before 2015 if you weren't in there?
It was used as a senior.
Get up, go.
I have a big enough voice. Before, when it was bought, it was purchased from the Michigan State Police, and it was purchased for a senior center by the township for the seniors to use.
But you're talking to prior to, he's talking about between
The-
1980
yeah, there was a
and
Plymouth,
2015.
yes, there was a Plymouth Township card group, or, I'm sorry, Plymouth Township Senior Group.
It was kind of a private card club.
Yeah,
Was it organized or was it
I'm
just drop-in?
I can't hear you, I'm sorry, what was
He wants
that?
to know if it was organized.
Were there
Well,
programs?
they had certain days that they did certain things, cards, like euchre or bridge or pinochle. But other than that, no, nothing, no services whatsoever. There was no services, they had potlucks, or they might have had a, Christmas dinner. But it was not advertised to the public, in better sense of saving my words.
It wasn't well publicized.
As I
Yeah,
recall, there were a group of seniors, I recall some of them coming to board meetings and expressing their preferences, and they kind of took over and ran the building and didn't think that it should be shared with anyone. It was kind of their building. That's the way
yeah,
they
so
looked
I
at it.
was moved over there in November 1st, 2015, and unfortunately, I was moved over there by myself, so I was right in the battlefield.
Was it a battlefield?
It was. I still have all the,
You have scars?
yeah, a lot of scars. Yeah, so, and I was over there, and they didn't like me being there. They didn't like someone to be in the building while they were there. Things changed over time because of the resolution. I mean, it took years for them, like, right before COVID hit, they finally, realized that they're not running the show over there, that the township has an employee there to run the show, along with the Council on Aging in there to do the programs.
As I recall, prior to that, it was the previous supervisor, I think Shannon Price, that incorporated from the city.
Moved the city.
Moved the city's programs over to there. And so it was something that was done in 2014 or 2015.
15.
And
Yes.
so that was kind of the genesis of this situation, I believe.
Genesis of the current operating model.
Exactly.
And currently, the only funds that the city of Plymouth provide are the funds for the transportation. They do not have any involvement with the PCCA or with employees, or that's all they provide is for transportation.
Yes. Are you talking about, yes. Well, I'm thinking you're talking about that grant, right?
Right.
Oh, no, she's not. No. I was just going to say, too, that we really have, we're a small group, but my board and myself have, and especially over the last couple months, have done nothing but advocate with every place we can think of to bring in funding. And the Channel 4 interview actually brought some awareness, and we were contacted by, they're in Canton, Walton Wood, Cherry Hill, and Walton Wood Carriage Park. They're senior facilities, and they saw the interview, and they called me and said, we want to help you. We want to sponsor a fundraiser. So they're doing a fundraiser on May 1st. It's a bingo fundraiser for us, and we hope that it is successful and brings us some funding, but we really appreciate that. So, other than trying to write grants that aren't very prosperous, because people don't want to give grants for operations. They want it for a project. And we don't own the building. We can't build onto it. We can't add onto it. We need it for operations so that we can continue to do the programs and service the seniors the best we can.
I passed out a one-page excerpt out of an article from MTA, and I highlighted the top of the third paragraph. So when it talks about what is an unlawful expenditure and a lawful expenditure, there's actually a carve-out in the law it cites a section of code that we can, if we choose to do that, we could provide funding to this organization, even though it's in 501c3 because of its mission.
That's awesome. Thank you, Bob. Because in general, I just want, because I've talked with all of you, in general, I understand that a lot of cities provide senior services as a part of their recreation budget, and therefore the coordination of services like the position you have, Bobby, is funded by the city, and these people are city employees. In Plymouth Township, that does not exist. It does for transportation. And we provide a bus driver, but it does not, we're not providing any other than utilities and maintenance of buildings. We are not providing any funding for senior services.
Well, we turn over the block grant.
Right. We give,
Total of
and we pay
$20,000.
the utilities and the maintenance of the building.
So there's a lot of in-kind money flowing there.
But the issue is the funding for.
So I have two comments. Number one is the United Way has donated $450,000 over the last 10 years. So they're still supporting, which is great, and we want to keep them to doing that. The other thing is the members, the 500 members, I hope will step up and make some donations. We also have in the back there, I would write a check because then it's tax deductible versus a GoFundMe. So Plymouth has always had a reputation of taking care of its own, so hopefully in this short-term period, we can rise to the occasion.
Who did you point at in the back of the room? Charlene is going to kick in? Who did you point at?
Pardon?
You said we have in the back of the room.
In the back of the room, there's a stack of their newsletters
handouts.
with the how to donate. Yeah, back there.
Never mind, I thought you were pointing.
No, I wasn't seeking a donation directly. Also, would you consider the township and the city doing and United Way doing a needs assessment in the community? I know that's a hot button for you guys.
That is a great possibility, but we're looking at a 60-day close. We're looking at June 30th at this point.
So when you say close, you're talking about the elimination of Bobby's position
Yes.
in services.
The PCCA will not have
So
any
then
operating
we better raise
funds.
some money, donations quick.
Well, we're trying.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to.
You're free to say whatever you want.
Thank you. We have approached the city numerous times. We have addressed the commissioners. We have entertained them at the station. I have talked, myself and my board, we have talked to the mayor. We have talked to the city manager. And my feeling is that is a dead end. Alls we've even tried to ask for, you get the same money grant that the township gets. Every government gets that, $20,000 for senior services. We just asked, do what the township does. Just split it, give us part of it. And the answer is no. We give it all to transportation, which is not us. The transportation, again, is owned by the city and the township. So that's almost a dead end, and I have talked to Paul about the needs. He knows the needs, so to me, and I've talked to Marie from the United Way, she approached me about this needs study. And you can do it, but the needs are, we know what the needs are, and we've addressed everybody you can think of with those needs. So it's very frustrating at this point.
Well, the needs assessment is a relatively organized, scientific study done to find out what the needs of the people that would be potential users, seniors, for the services. The services we offer now may or may not be on target. We don't know that without some information.
Could I also ask, have you guys looked at perhaps restructuring like the job description so that maybe people could come in and fill in a volunteer capacity?
I want to back it up to about the need assessment. So the township and the city both did that, what was it, planning, your planning?
Oh, no, that was the
Master plan. Yeah.
There was a question on recreation in there.
Well,
Or various
and
questions.
if you go to both websites, it's out there. So that wasn't not too long ago, and it hasn't changed. It's just, the numbers are just going to continue to go up, and.
That's not what a needs assessment is, apparently. It's someone who's involved in social work or scientific collection of data gathering. So anyway, we're going to think about it more.
Okay, and then I'll let Bobby answer Jennifer, I'll let Bobby answer your question.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor, I appreciate the chance to speak, and I follow the rules. I would like everybody to go through the supervisor to ask to speak instead of interrupting or blurting something out.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
If I may have a minute, please.
Okay, your turn. You ready?
Are you ready? Please.
Well, I thought you.
I asked you, she
I
wanted
thought
to
she
speak.
had the.
Okay.
You had a question.
Well, she has the floor.
Okay.
We didn't hear that, Jen.
The question was, have you guys looked into restructuring the position such that perhaps people could be trained as volunteers to keep this going? We do that at churches, a veterans commission. We put on events year round, and it's all volunteer based.
I don't know how to address that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to address that.
Yeah.
Well,
No, we haven't, but.
it's basically eliminating your job eventually, right?
Well, and you know what? If that's what it takes to keep this running, then I would suggest that we look for volunteers to run it. I really would. I don't want this to end, and I don't want when I started 19 years ago, we had nothing. And I was in the city. I had an office in the city hall. And for 1 year, I tried to follow what was in place. And my whole feeling was, what the heck did we have here for seniors? So I made it my mission, and I had an opportunity, I had a chance to move into Livonia. And I told that director, I'm staying here until we accomplish something for these people. And getting the township, that building was like a godsend. And everybody is so involved there and loves it there and has a place to social and meet people. And I don't want to go backwards. And so if you feel that maybe it needs to be run by volunteers, just keep it open, I'm all for it.
Okay, John, go ahead.
Okay. I would support a significant increase in funding for the seniors. I see many of my friends here. I'm at the Friendship Station at least once a month. I anxiously await Bobby to pull the pie out of the refrigerator, the freezer. I look forward to the Council on Aging monthly bulletin. I'm the oldest one on this board. I live in Lake Point. Now there's been increased traffic, which the chief has been well aware of on Schoolcraft. It's a dangerous road, but I want to go on record as saying I can't begin to thank Bobby, Kim, and Cindy enough. You are in a growth industry. You are in a growth, and I'll tell you why. Michigan, the statistics are one of the oldest states in the nation. Every day, 380 or more people on average turn 65. If you compare, you can't compare the services that are provided for seniors in Westland, or Canton, or Livonia, even on a per population basis. They offer medical care, they offer exercise classes, and they offer a place for a vaccine. I have stopped there. Now, to me, it is my opinion, my position. The case for need has already been met. The case for need is there. We need a task force for financing. We need an effective speaker who can move the city commission, and maybe you need a lawyer of 40 years who's paid taxes on Main Street in Plymouth for 40 years to go to the city commission, and who first met Paul Sincock in 1968 at Interlochen to go shame him into providing some funding from some wealthy people in the city and township. Seniors is where it's at. And that's not just because I'm 75 years old and have a birthday next week. So, but the issue is not need. The issue is gratitude for Kim, Cindy, and Bobby. You're not aware with my contacts across the state of Michigan, Bobby Pummel's an all-star. She's an all-star, and she's a volunteer. It's almost as pathetic as my wife, unable to find somebody to succeed her as director of the Michigan Philharmonic. So the issue is a task force to finance. That's my point. And our supervisor is very capable, and he can be creative, and we can look to many sources, but we need to focus on financing the programs for the seniors. And God bless you. Thank you for nodding your head yes.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much for the comments, and thank you for everyone that came out to support us tonight. We really, really appreciate, appreciate everything that you guys have done and given us so far. Kathy is our president. Kathy Turnquist, want to stand up? I just wanted everyone to recognize her. She is a PCCA president. So again, thank you.
So now, are you guys finished, or you still have some more comments? All right, so now we have any more comments from the board or questions?
No, there's two problems. One is short-term, getting through the rest of this year, and the second is developing a model that would make this sustainable over a long period of time. Because as I understand it, it was because of COVID money that they were able to stay open for the last 5 years. So this is a problem that has been coming for years. I don't have a good answer to that question. I know that I would, support some level of funding and to help get through both the short term and the long term.
Mr. Supervisor?
I think
Go ahead, John.
Sandy.
Go ahead, John.
I would like to echo John's sentiments here. We owe a lot to our senior citizens. Not only is John a senior citizen, so am I, the second oldest person on the board. And I have historically supported the senior citizens. When I was a police officer in the city of Plymouth, I donated money to the organization. When I was a city commissioner, I donated all of my commission pay to the Council on Aging. When I was a state rep, when the state house voted for a increase in pay, I voted no, and because I voted no, I donated my pay increase to the Council on Aging. I've donated subsequently to it. And I think, Mr. Supervisor, you're right, people need to step up. And those who are participants, who can, we're not asking people to donate who can't. But if you can, throw a few extra dollars in there. And I think that would go a long way. And we spread that over time and ask our other friends and relatives to maybe chip into a 501c3. It is tax deductible. You can do that. But I'm certainly open to us helping out in some way. And we need to maybe explore how we might do that in a very fair and equitable way. So thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
The reason that I originally asked for this to come before the board is because I do understand the problem. And Treasurer Dorshevitz, you're absolutely correct. It's a short-term and a long-term issue. And we can all talk about throwing money at it and donating, but we need continuity. We need to sustain the program. And to me, the best way to do that is for the township to contribute towards the salary to maintain the service that is being provided, and I 100% support that.
So now, if we have any comments, come to the podium if you're in the audience.
Again, my name's Dale Bernhardt. Last month, I reached out to Michigan Representative Kolazar's office, and I asked him, I told him what was going on with the Council on Aging and if he could help. My question is, has he contacted you back?
Yes, they have.
Are they going to help?
They are in the process of submitting a grant on our behalf.
Very good.
So, yeah, we're working with them.
Does it help for all these people here to write an email to Kolazar's office requesting, along with the board?
Well, I think he's okay with that, but we were told that the appropriations officer has told them that most of the grant requests are being denied this year. So they will submit it for this would be for 2026, it wouldn't be for this year.
So it's too late for you. So what do? Do we, again, contact Kolazar's office? This is an immediate concern right now, and I'm sure some of the board members know Representative Kolazar. I would think you'd have some leverage with him?
Yes, I say yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Mary Tavrosi, Arboretum Circle. I really appreciate your comments, Mr. Stewart. You're right, it is an aging population here. Our most recent census indicates that we have almost 23% of the population is 65 and older. And the Friendship Center actually serves a population that's even younger than that. So when you add that in, we're probably at more than a quarter of the population in the township is eligible for these services today. And anyone want to hazard a guess what the population of the under 18-year-olds is in the township, according to the latest census? 18%. Veterans, 5%. So where do we spend the money? Right? We have always been a very good community about supporting the children and supporting the schools. We have a commission focused on supporting the veterans. I think what we've heard today and through the presentations, and thank you for everything you do, is that, yes, we have an immediate crisis, and I hope everybody will try to attend these fundraisers and do the GoFundMes. But I think it's time, to your point about a task force, to look at restructuring potentially how this all works. Maybe we've outlived a 501c3 approach. I ran a youth organization in Florida as the chairman of the board for 5 years with a budget that was 10 times what you have. And we were a 501c3, and every year we had to raise every dollar from day one, from penny one. And it is a very hard road to hoe. And I would suggest that we look for this to a different structure that doesn't rely on 501c3, but is supported through city and township funding. And I know that the word millage is like a dirty word here in this community, but perhaps there is another way that we can refocus budgetary priorities to make this work on a sustainable basis. And whether it's salaries or programs, I can second you to say that every grant we ever wrote in all the years I was there was very much difficult to get if it was for operations, salaries, or programs. And I also want to point out that you're shortchanging yourself on your budget because you're only counting the things that you're actually raising money for. And when you put in everything the township's done in kind, your budget is actually quite a bit bigger. And that's what you have to get every year. So I would just ask respectfully that we go forward with this idea of a task force. And let's think about how we want to restructure this and make it sustainable in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Ann Van Wagoner. I'm 66 years old, and I'm a senior citizen. I've lived in Plymouth Township for 21 years, and Mary expressed some of the things that I was going to say, but I was looking up some information last night, and it's my understanding that all states have fundings for senior citizens programs and centers. Under the Older Americans Act, what I read last night, under Title 3B, each state gets funding for senior centers. And Michigan, the data that I saw last night, receives $12,804,365. According to the Michigan Association of Senior Centers, there are 152 senior center locations in Michigan. So if you divide that money, if I'm correct, by 152 centers, that leaves $84,239 for each senior center. So I'm just curious if my calculations are correct. And I have more questions were raised coming to this meeting tonight, is how much money, I know that we got money from COVID, but how much, what's the deficit? What's the difference? Without the COVID money, how much money is actually needed to keep it afloat? I would like figures for that. If community can keep their senior centers, like Canton, Livonia, I guess they get some recreational budget funding. I don't see why Plymouth Township couldn't do it if Ypsilanti, Romulus, Belleville, Taylor, and other surrounding communities can do it. Many senior citizens in the township own homes and pay taxes, which support schools and many other township services. A number of seniors in my immediate neighborhood don't have children and don't complain about the taxes that go for our schools. And I wasn't aware that such a small percentage of our population is under 18 in Michigan. So we value children, and educating children. Is our value to the community less important than our children? Is additional funding for the township senior centers that insignificant and unimportant to our community? I don't think so. We're an aging population, and this is a vital resource. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, do you have something in writing to submit for our notes? and whatever.
Dwayne Santop again. I've been around here a long time before I was a senior. But one thing, I was coming to meetings at the township since 2005, almost every meeting. And I'd hear him talk about the senior center, the Friendship Station. I didn't even know what it was. I never got around to asking. So I think we need to have some awareness for some of the seniors. They don't even know anything about it. So I don't know how we can do that, but maybe we can think about a newsletter or something, but let them know. Thank you.
Thank you.
So one item, if, from an immediate standpoint, many of us have a requirement for it's called a required minimum distribution from your IRA. And if you designate a 501c3, you don't have to pay income tax on it. So think about that in your tax planning this year. Required minimum distribution designation. You can kind of see that I'm into self-funding.
Make the check out to Bob.
Treasurer Bob.
Any other questions or comments about this topic? No? All right. So we'll go on to F4, which is an item about replacing a part-time employee who retired. And I decided that this person, this should be held open and not filled until January next year. And Jerry Vorva disagrees with that, and he's going to give us a pitch on why he thinks we should authorize this position now instead of waiting. Not authorize, fill it. It's already authorized.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and thank you for the public. And there were some other comments made about the clerk's department that I would like to address, not now, but during comments. So this is going to be just purely about this position that I'm going to be speaking of. This is a part-time administrative assistant position in the clerk's department. I came to office 9 years ago. This position was already here. Matter of fact, every department has in the contract a administrative assistant position. Some of those positions are full-time, some of them are part-time, but it's in the bargaining contract. So this position is not new. Jerry Vorva's not creating a new position. This has always been here. This position during the election years morphs into a full-time position because of all the duties that are required in the election process. Now, subsequent to me coming here in 2018 and 2020, the citizens of the state of Michigan have passed several constitutional amendments concerning elections. On top of that, the legislature has enacted other pieces of legislation that affects elections. So the work that was done when I first came here has increased extensively. You have no reason absentee voting. You have more than double the number of people that use absentee voting in this community. That requires more work. That requires more daily work. So when you think about the elections, it's not just the election day or just a few days before or just a few weeks before. This is an ongoing process. You have people coming in and registering. You have people who move that have to be taken out of the system. You have things that happen every day. The Secretary of State sends us into our queue in our computer system every day a number of actions that we have to complete. Many of those things are someone has moved inside the jurisdiction. They may have moved from one portion of the township to the next. Well, you have to change all their registration. You have to send them new cards. You have to change our hard file. So not only do we have an electronic file, we have a hard copy file. So these are the kind of things that go on a daily basis. And now you have people who can come in and register even on election day. So that was not required before. And so you can have people to come in and register on election day. You have early voting going on now. You have a requirement for us to have another location for a drop box. This drop box, according to state law, has to be monitored. You have to have videos of that. You have to go and check it 75 days prior to an election. So in this last election cycle, we had 3 elections. So 75 days before each one of those election cycles, someone had to physically go to the box, check it, empty it, bring it back to the township, and then process those things. And it has to be videotaped. A number of you probably remember, we had an individual who tried to think that they should have their own camera system set up at the early voting center, and it was caught on tape. We did that. We monitor it every day. Matter of fact, he came back more than once. He came back twice and did 2 other actions. Now, fortunately, it was harmless, I think. I think the person was trying to do their own, I'm going to make sure that people think this is being watched so no nefarious things would happen. But the state law is very exact about the responsibilities of the clerk and what we have to perform on a daily basis. So it's not just election time, it's every day, it's every week, it's every month, it's every quarter, it's every day of the year we're doing things. So this position is one that has always been there. And it has always been the purview of the clerk, and when it comes to the treasurer, anybody he hires, that they are the person who decides who gets these positions. Because we try to hire people who are qualified for those positions, who are dedicated to helping their fellow citizens to exercise their fundamental right. This is the only thing that the government does that is a fundamental right. Police protection is important, fire protection is important, but there's nothing in the Constitution requiring it. But there's stuff in the Constitution that talks about your fundamental right to vote. So this position is not an addition. It's an existing position. It's in the contract. It has been funded in the budget. And so it is there and it is necessary. As a matter of fact, subsequent to me putting this in the agenda, the union has filed a grievance saying that, wait a minute, this is a union position, it's been funded, it's in the contract, and you have not filled it. And so now we're faced with a grievance from the township, from the union. It's clearly appropriate, that's their right. We have a contract. This board authorized that contract with the Plymouth Township workers. So what I'm asking for is that the position that has always been there, one that is necessary and proper, and I would not be asking for it if it were not. I understand the supervisor's position. The supervisor has always been a person who has says, how can we better run an organization efficiently? I'm not against that. I'm a conservative. I want funds to be spent appropriately. I don't disagree with that philosophy. However, this is a necessary position in order for me to fulfill my obligations to properly administer the electoral process. And remember, it's not just election time. It's every single day that there are actions that have to take place. So I'm going to ask that my fellow members here support me in funding a position that's one already there, was there before I got here, is necessary, and even more necessary now than before because of all the changes in the electoral process. Constitutional amendments passed by more than 60% of the populace out there, along with the enabling legislation passed by the legislature. Just on April the 1st, 6 new laws came into effect. 6 new ones came into effect April 1st because they didn't get immediate effect last year. So there's a 90-day, so I have to educate my workers on it. And we do that. We have continuing education that is required every year to make sure that we in the clerk's department are able to make sure that your fundamental right to vote is protected. This should not be even debated. This is a necessary position. I'm asking that they vote for this, and in doing so, by doing this, we will probably ameliorate the action by the union.
With grievance.
And so I'm asking that we move forward on this. I'm willing to debate anybody on it. It is necessary, proper, that this be filled now, not later, because there's work to do. The state sent us 900 files recently to remove from the system. We have people who send us information all the time. We had another individual email us more than a dozen situations where they thought there was duplicates in the system, and duplicates do happen. Sometimes someone is single, they get married and change their name. Someone doesn't catch it at the state that this has happened, and you get these duplicates in the system. So just recently, more than a dozen, maybe 2-3 dozen situations where there were duplicates in the system that we got notified of, and then we corrected that. Not only did we correct that, we made sure that these duplicates on any given election over the past dozen years didn't vote in the same election. So Mary Jane, who was Mary Jane Smith, who became Mary Jane Jones because she got married, ended up having a duplicate registration. We went back and made sure that Mary Jane Smith and Mary Jane Jones didn't vote in the same election for the same issue. So there's a lot of work that goes on. This takes hours and hours to do this stuff. So in order to make sure that we have a system that all of us can feel confident about, that we make sure that it's secure, and that everybody's vote counts, and your vote only counts once. I'm asking the board to please authorize this, as I have written, probably with the caveat that it would resolve the complaint by the union.
I think there's 2 issues that have kind of gotten munched together here, because I've heard two different themes. And the first is that there is at least one member of the board that thinks you should eliminate the position. So this is
That's not me, that's not true. We just leave it open until the 1st of the year. That's what I said in opening.
You're right, Bob.
Well,
It's me.
let me finish.
Oh, okay.
So there's a question as to whether the position itself is necessary. One of the things to understand, and the second issue, is that if the position is not eliminated, who has the authority to decide who is hired and who is hired into those positions? Jerry and I have kind of unique roles in that where we have statutory duties and we're autonomous. We're elected officials and we're autonomous, which means we need to have autonomy over the operation of our department in order to deliver those statutory duties. But those issues have gotten munched together. And there's another thing that you didn't mention, which is the same thing that happens in the treasurer's office and in some of the other departments, is that we're a retail operation, meaning we're open from 8 to 4:30 every day, and somebody's got to be there all the time. we can't close. It's like a convenience store at 4 in the morning sometimes. There's no customers, but you still have to have somebody there. So you can't look at it in that traditional sense of what of trying to divide the workload by the number of people, because you have to have that coverage as well. But I don't understand why, how many hours a week would it be between, is it currently during the slow period?
15.
It's 2 days.
It's 2 days a
2
week.
days. And this person does coverage for vacations, they do coverage
So
for
it's-
sick time, they do coverage for when there's other training going on, because we have to go do other training.
So it's 16 hours a week?
Right.
15.
16 hours a week, and how much does it pay?
It's about 23, I think, $24
So
an
that's
hour.
$400 a week
Yeah.
for
It's
6 months.
$25,000 a year.
$25,000.
So that's what I was looking
Keep
for.
open.
Okay, I was looking to save $25,000. I gave
So
ideas.
what do you do when people are on vacation and do you
Well,
close the
No, we already
clerk's
have.
office?
We have Jerry in the office, we have Denise Turrell, we have the deputy, Paula Jefferson, and you have a person named Ashley in there also. So you have 4 people. This saves, first of all, I gave a suggestion. If you can't handle the workload, then don't do passports, which only generate $35 for a day, or only do it 1 day a week. This saves $25,000. I've already identified $400,000 in saves that we booked or will book soon. So this is not including the $25,000 is not in there. So I'm looking to, this is all about saving money. It's not about controlling who you hire. The grievance was triggered, Jerry, by you hiring last week Joseph Tax back as a non-union employee.
I did not, no, I did
That's
not
what it
hire.
said in the grievance.
No, I did not hire. The
Well,
state
you
law,
had him returned.
The state law allows every clerk, county, city, any kind of clerk, they give them carte blanche to not hire, but to appoint an assistant. I do this every election process where I need more people to come in. I I appoint these people to come in and do work. As I said before, the work does not stop because of a disagreement between myself and the supervisor. He refused to post this position. I still had work to do. The state law specifically gives me the authority to appoint a assistant, and it didn't say a, it says a number of assistants.
Election related.
No, for the general purpose of
elections.
No, of anything that touches and concerns elections, registering people, deregistering people, all those kinds of things. So I then, because there was a need, I acted statutorily and brought someone in. Because I did that, the union then says, wait a minute, this is a union position. And they rightly filed a grievance.
But they
Now,
didn't file the
but this was not
grievance
because
until
of
that
Jerry Vorva did something. This is because the supervisor failed to post this position. Had he not done that, there would be no grievance.
So the election is 540 days away, 18 months.
May I speak?
Go ahead.
Wrong.
Hold
May
on.
I speak? First and foremost, I'm shaking up here because I don't want to create tremendous angst. But I am a former part-time seasonal election worker. I am a former full-time administrative assistant in the clerk's office. I am a former 2-time deputy clerk, and I did work under Jerry as his deputy. Now, the fact of the matter is that when Jerry and I came here to work in 2016, and I realize there's a lot of stuff that's happened, but there was myself as deputy clerk, there was a part-time person who really was responsible for doing election work, but she was our part-time person. And then we had the records manager full-time. We didn't have that part-time position. We didn't have the position that you filled with Deborah at that time. All we had was a part-time person in addition to myself and Denisa.
Which is the same position. We added a full-time person because the laws changed.
That's Ashley,
No,
right?
Yes.
No.
Ashley was the ad.
May I finish?
Come
on.
I took a lot of time to prepare this. The fact of the matter is, the biggest question, and you're absolutely right, Bob, it's multifaceted. The big question is about the clerk and the treasurer having autonomy in hiring of staff. The fact of the matter is, the law says it is the township supervisor's duty to assume all the duties and responsibilities as personnel director of all township employees, or delegate such duties to some other officer or employee. It is possible that the former supervisor delegated that authority to the treasurer and clerk, which he certainly is entitled to do. However, this supervisor has not delegated that authority. So to make the statement that it's a historical practice is not true. I've been affiliated with the township since 1976. The clerk's office, the deputy clerks, the deputy treasurer, they are full-time township employees entitled to the same benefits as all the other employees. But the clerk...
Don't get the same benefits.
May I finish?
Are you proposing that we give the deputy treasurer benefits after you said no? You voted no to give the deputy treasurer all the benefits of the town that the others get.
I voted no to
You
give the
voted
deputy
no.
treasurer a $6,000 raise. Now, may I please finish what I have to
Didn't
say?
finish, but you voted no.
I voted no to give your deputy a $6,000 raise.
You voted no to give the deputy the same benefits that the others
I
got.
did
You
not. That
liar.
was not an issue
got
on
the
the
floor,
agenda. May I please finish? The fact of the matter is that all deputies get full-time employee benefits, to include the deputy treasurer who left
Starting
and
tomorrow.
retired and received payoff on sick time and vacation time. I'm not going to dispute it. Do your
voted
homework
no.
and you will see the facts support exactly what I am saying. The other part of what I have to say is that the law does give the clerk, it assigns full authority to the clerk for election administration, and it says the clerk may hire additional election assistants who only have the authority to carry out the general provisions of election law. We have historically done that on a part-time seasonal basis at election time only, and with the changes in law, the need is greater. Jerry is right. He needs more staff to complete the duties.
When is the next scheduled election in Plymouth Township?
540 days
When?
away.
When is it?
Five,
Is it August 2026?
yes.
Okay, the other part of this is, historically, the clerk has hired part-time seasonal employees for election work. I was one of them. I came in 6 to 8 weeks before an election and worked up to 2 weeks after. I was in charge of the absent voter process. All I'm trying to say here is that although the clerk has the authority to hire additional staff, the law still requires that the board approve that and that the board set the pay grade, because as township trustees, we have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens. And the fact of the matter is that all of the QVF work, and maybe somebody is being misled, but the fact of the matter is that the QVF work is done on a daily basis by the full-time administrative assistant. Those 900 voters were canceled, and they are no longer in QVF, so those people will not be voting.
So that work is completed.
That work is complete. So it has nothing to do with anything. And what I am saying is that I do not believe, with my history with working elections, and this is not personal, it's factual, that position is not needed. And if you look at the results of the exit interview performed by HR and the supervisor, you will see that the person who's been in that position for 5 years has stated that at election time, her presence is absolutely essential. but at non-election times, she doesn't have anything to do.
That's not true.
And she is an
I will read it
honest,
to you afterwards when I have the floor.
she is an honest person with character, and I worked in the office. I know it is true. The fact of the matter is, you have more staff now than you used to have. The fact of the matter is that 6 major responsibilities that used to be in the clerk's office are no longer in the clerk's office. I will not support this because I don't believe we have a need for it, and I'd even be willing to look at spending some of that money towards other programs.
So I want to make a clarifying point. It's absolutely true that the board approves the budget in all positions. The supervisor drafts the budget. It's brought to the board towards the end of the summer, and the board approves the positions. What this discussion about is whether a position is going to get eliminated. And second to that is what's mixed up is who has the authority to fill that position.
Right.
So just to clarify, the board has the authority to set the budget and approve all positions. And so this, what is on the table now is the elimination of a position.
No.
That's the way that I'm hearing
But
it.
the agreement that the clerk has the full authority at election time, with a reasonable amount of time, to hire additional staff.
That's not what the law says. The law says.
Yes, it does.
It does not. I've read the law. I've given you guys the law. I've given you in my.
Now, I
in my
saw
brief.
that, Jerry, but if you interpret it the way you do,
Yeah.
you could hire an unlimited number of people
I'm
up to
not
the budget.
hiring. I'm not hiring. I'm asking for a hiring now. And the state law also says that the board or the supervisor cannot in any way diminish the authority, the duties, and responsibilities of the treasurer and the clerk. It's in the state law. It's been in the state law for decades.
And we're not diminishing your
And the
authority.
reason
Yes, you
for
are.
it is
You
because
can't
you
backdoor it, because what this is, folks, and I'm sorry I'm having to go here.
So am I.
I'm sorry I'm having to go here.
Hold on.
I'm sorry I'm having to go here. This is retribution.
It is not.
It is purely retribution. And listen, we're going to have an opportunity to vote here, and I'm asking for the support of the board on this very, very important issue. Very important issue. I would not be asking for it if it were not required. It is required.
Can I ask you a question? I'm actually going to start with Bob, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to say, but Bob, how many people work here for the treasurers? How many people works?
There's 3 part-time
3 part-time people.
and 2 full-time.
Okay, and
You're
you've
one
got,
of those full-time, right?
right? And everybody have to pay the taxes, and everybody has to pay the water and sewers, correct?
Correct.
People have no idea how many people have to be there every single day to pay waters and sewers, because I know, because I've been there. Bob, the same thing. How many people do you have?
Jerry I have myself, a deputy, a person that has 2 titles. And matter of fact, I made this change in a person who does record keeping and election specialist, and an election specialist. And I have a part-time person, which I'm trying to get right now. I have a second part-time person that's an accounts payable person. I have a finance director and a deputy finance director. And we have 2 people that alternate that run the videos. And they're not in the union, they do the work
So
here.
the point is, folks, you probably don't realize, but go to Canton. How many people are here? Go to Salem, see how many people are here. And then go to Plymouth and see how many people are there. It's day and night. We do the work ourselves, and there's a very, very small number of group. So I'm in favor for this one, big time.
All right, this is, anybody else have anything to say on the board? No. This is not about retribution. Let me read you just a few excerpts from the exit interview. Deborah shared that there were times she had such little work to do that she felt guilty and did not feel that the township taxpayer dollars were being used well. Deborah indicated that she often reached out to fellow clerk department employees to offer to assist them, but that recently there has been less work for her to do, less work for her to assist with. Deborah stated very clearly that in her opinion, there is not enough work in the clerk's department to substantiate the township hiring a new part-time employee at this time. And I want to, given there is no election work to perform, this is not eliminating a position. It is being a good fiduciary of our money. Jerry, it's not personal, but you want to personal? The fiduciary of your money is you got to have, you got employees working from home, that's okay. But when I came here, they refused to take a phone call till I got them a phone. I've seen employees reading books in the middle of the day. So I don't want to get into this. It's too divisive. But I can tell you, I wasn't born yesterday. I worked in industry 42 years. I know when work is happening on a daily basis. This is just a temporary until January 1, when we have a new budget.
Deborah,
it is demoralizing when people are idle.
Deborah Dooley is a wonderful person. She's done wonderful work. She's kept up on all the laws. She came to me last election cycle and said, Jerry, I'm getting older. I can't work as often. And she did. And I said, Debbie, I value your intellect. I value your judgments. I value your ability to do the jobs. I will fill some of that time with some of these other people. And I did that. And because she is very good at her job, but she was unable to work as often. And so I did that because I valued having the institutional knowledge that Debbie had. I love Debbie. She did a great job, and she knows that I love her. But she made that request. So I can understand how she felt. Maybe she wasn't as valuable, but she was.
She told me
Let's
the
try to-
very
let's try to-
same thing.
Loosen this log jam a little bit.
Let's vote.
So the question is the position, Chuck said absolutely not eliminating the position.
Correct.
So what is the impact of not eliminating the position, but during off years, not employing that person? So that's what we have to talk about, because.
Just this year. We don't know what's going to
Just
happen.
this year. Because if you train somebody, I'm just trying to resolve this log jam.
Sure, and I appreciate
It's a question of timing, or what happens if you can't fill it for 6 months?
This position is necessary. I wouldn't be asking for it. It is something that this person does work every single day.
So Chuck, you're saying you trust her over what Jerry is requesting?
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, because
Really? Okay.
I really think that I got to go by what's verbatim is said. And to have that kind of thing said is shocking to me. But what's happened is we've don't turn it into a personal thing. And it's about, we're doing more work in the supervisor's office. I understand that. We're doing the board packet. Normally we wouldn't, but that's part of the, right now, that was done because there was too much work in the clerk's office. So I really think we need a spirit of cooperation here, and let's cut it back, and then we will fill it at the beginning of the year. We're 540 days out from an election, 18 months.
Again, the notion, and I've heard people say this, well, geez, just the elections aren't till next year. Remember, I told you there are functions that go on a daily basis.
I agree completely.
That have to be accomplished. And you can't do it without this position being there and having the person trained and certified. And so that's how you do these things. And listen, this is not your grandfather's Oldsmobile, and it's not your grandfather's election process anymore. It is very, very exact. It's very, very time-consuming, and it's necessary. And I'm going to, if everyone else is done talking, I want to make a motion.
Hold on. John has something, and then the audience gets to speak.
Well, I think we can stipulate to the facts that there are no scheduled elections until August of 2026, a year and a half from now. I think we can stipulate to the fact that the testimony at the exit interview of Deb Dooley, my friend who I go to the same church with, said, there's no work for me to do.
Not true.
I've asked for work to do, and there's no work for me to do.
Not true.
And this is real easy. Redirect the $25,000 to the Council on Aging. No, I'm sincere about that. I'm serious, because I know what members on the Council on Aging are getting paid in other townships and in other cities.
All right, do we have any comments? If you do, you got to come to the podium from the audience. Any questions or comments?
So if you vote yes, you're voting against $25,000 for the Council on Aging.
No, you're not.
Come on, you're voting against the position. It's manipulation.
So I'm Dale Bernhardt. I think what Jerry wants to do is to be able to designate somebody at any time as an election worker. And he wants sole responsibility for hiring, okay? Basically, he wants to be a king. Beware of servants who want to be a king. They lose focus on the servant. You said that? George Washington. Okay. To this board, be wary of this resolution. Clerk Vorva will not always be the clerk. You may find yourself with employees of poor character and work ethic if this resolution passes. Other opinions may be able to identify poor character candidates. Also, it is just a matter of time before the treasurer's office wants the same latitude for hiring or other departments. Mr. Vorva has stated that history has allowed him to hire. But just because a previous supervisor didn't care enough to review potential employee credentials doesn't mean other sets of eyes shouldn't be used. History is not the same as codification, which is what Clerk Vorva wants with this resolution. I urge the board to be very careful with this resolution, as it could open up a slew of unintended consequences. In conclusion, I call on this board and department heads again to work as servants for the resident taxpayers. Don't give our money away to employees when they aren't required. Thank you.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's because that's the way you think.
Mary Pine, I don't have a prepared speech. I am just struck by all the dust thrown in the air. And after reading Jerry, your 3-page thing with your attachments, you've been throwing dust in the air. And a lot, if you read it, and I will say, I had my son who's an attorney read it, a lot of it doesn't connect. You're making statements and there's no connection to your opinion and what you're saying. And it's very unfortunate that you sunk to your level again of trying to accuse somebody of doing something they weren't doing when you and yourself did something wrong, and then you turned it around and accused Chuck of something. It's really outlandish, and it really should stop. And so I want to know, do the people that you have there now actually do work? And do they have work to do? And do you do work? It's a problem. And it says on Michigan compiled laws, page 6, section 42.10, Township Superintendent Appointment, Delegation of Powers and Duties of Township Supervisor, paragraph A, to assume all the duties and responsibilities as Personnel Director of all Township employees or delegate such duties to some other office or employee. So there it is. You want to change a law. You're not allowed to do that, I don't think. And yes, you get to choose Paula Jefferson, your assistant deputy clerk, and you're supposed to do this when there's an election. Some of this is such common sense.
You can throw all sort of things up in the air. I've had this done to me when I was hurt, and it's not right. And people here can see through that. There will be another election for all of you. You probably won't be involved, Jerry. At some point, I hope you can enjoy your life. But the people are listening. They understand this. They know this. And if you've got this, and I don't know if I've said this already, you want to pass something affirming that the clerk and treasurer have the sole responsibility for the hiring of their staff. It goes against the state law. Who do you think you are? And I would like to say, and I didn't prepare this, I would like to say that people have spent a lot of effort realizing that we may need some additional firemen. So if you vote for this, you're just saying, well, maybe we don't need firemen. You don't need to be the spokesperson for the firemen anymore because you're willing to waste money. It's very, very, very discouraging, and it's really hard to respect this type of sales job, which is similar to all the awful things that were said to the people who didn't want a racetrack in our community, and that the federal government threw that out of court. Thank you.
Modify that language, because that's not my intent. It's not my intent to have the authority to hire whoever I want and blow the budget.
Hello, Bill Pine. I didn't plan to say anything either. But I've been coming here I didn't pay any attention to the township board, except for like the last 2 years. And it's been a real education. Over the past 2 years, Jerry, multiple people have come up here multiple times with constructive suggestions as to how to approach your responsibilities. You either didn't understand and/or didn't care, neither of which is very good. There was a book written about 30 years ago called Re-Engineering the Corporation by a guy named Michael Hammer and something Champion. One of the concepts in that book were value-added services, value-supporting services, and non-value-added services. In that context, what a good administrator, a good manager is going to do is optimize the value-added services where they can justify it. What a good manager, administrator is going to do is minimize, you need to have value-supporting services. I mean, that's just a fact of life. But you want to minimize them. You want to be very efficient. You want to follow the rules. Non-value-added stuff you want to get rid of. In the context of the township, value-added services are things like our policemen and our firemen. You want to have funding for that. You don't want to spend it unnecessarily on value-supporting services. You want to minimize and realize those services as effectively as you can, and that hasn't been happening. And then the non-value-added services, that kind of speaks for itself. But in any event, you really need some time. I'm trying to help. You really need some time to listen to what people say about that. The name of the book, if you want to read it, is Re-Engineering the Corporation by Michael Hammer and something Champion. So please do your jobs.
So anyone else? All right, so we're going to talk here for a bit. Some people have proposed a compromise potentially.
Yeah.
I don't like this, but one of the things that has been proposed, or that I'm thinking of, based on Bob's tipping me off a little bit, is we just allocate $10,000 and you use it as you will for the part-time position between now and December 31, and you'll have to work it out with the union. It'll probably have to be a union position. Is that something you're thinking about? We can talk more about it.
Maybe that'll work, because one of the things I wanted to clarify is the language in this motion is probably misleading. I certainly do not want to have the authority to be able to just hire anybody I want, whenever I want. I stick to the budget, and I've done a very good job of that. In fact, I've cut my budget this year. Hiring a staff, what that is really trying to say is that ultimately, I worked in the private sector for 35 years, and the hiring manager always had the authority to hire who they saw fit. They didn't go 3 levels above them to say, this is who I'm going to hire in your department, and you get that person. We have a really unique situation in that Chuck is not my boss. I want to work closely with him. I want him to be successful, but he's not my boss. I'm elected and I'm autonomous. Same with Jerry. So we need to find a way to work together. I really believe that what happens is there is slow time. There's slow time in the treasurer's office where I may have, water bills were due yesterday. So today, this afternoon, I had one staff who's at the cashier's desk, and she was slow. She had about 2 hours where she had nobody come in, and she didn't really have much to do. But it's a retail window. And it's like any other retail window where you gotta staff her. You gotta staff them. So there are times when periods of the year when they're slow. The other thing that you got to keep in mind is that if you hire somebody part-time and you say you're going to have anywhere from 0 hours a week to 30 hours a week, most people are not in a position where they can be that flexible with their lives and with their income stream. Election workers are different because they tend to be people that are retired or just want a little extra money for the holidays, and so they're willing to come in and work for 8 weeks. But it's a very different. They're not trained in the QVF. They're not. Their purpose. They have specific purposes, and you're not going to find good staff that says I'm willing to not work for 2 months and then come back at the end of the summer and work 29 hours a week and then not work again for 6 months. It just doesn't, people just don't exist.
May we please have a break? It's been 2.5 hours.
All right, take a break.
So maybe if we can we find some solution that would work?
As budgeted.
No, not as budgeted. First of all, I don't want this motion to happen, and I will agree to allocate $10,000 for this position, and you use it whenever you want. You got Joseph there. You want to have Joseph, and he is already trained. He could do the job, and he's a student, I think. And $10,000 is something he could need. He worked 2,500 hours last calendar year.
That's because there were 3 elections.
Right,
folks.
but no, my point is he knows the job. So this.
That doesn't sound very professional to
What?
just throw 10,000 out there like
Well,
it's
it's better
a
than-
bargaining amount. This
Well,
is
okay,
a job.
then what else would you propose?
I'm
I
willing
don't,
to just
I don't want
change
to staff the position for the full remainder of the year, because I think it's not
Hourly and
good
hourly?
value.
Is this already an hourly
Only
position?
this is how you
It's
get
an hourly
people.
position,
This
yeah.
is how you get people to do the job. Bob is right. You can't say, okay, you're gonna work these few months and then I don't need you for another 6 months.
Well,
You get quality people.
For this
who are
year,
trained.
well, I still advocate that you can work it around already with the people you have. So I'm willing to say you have extra $10,000, not extra, but instead of making a $25,000 save, we'll make a $15,000 save. But my point is, the person who is being replaced says there's no work.
What
That's
about if-
unconscionable.
So what would it take for you to hire someone 2 months from now?
I love
if
Deb
he
Dooley.
shows?
There was animosity between her and the person I want to hire.
I mean, Joseph.
Yes.
Okay.
And so.
Well, he's had a lot of animosity with a lot of people.
But that's beside the point. He's
It's
qualified.
not just her.
He's qualified to do the job. I don't care what people do on their personal lives. When someone is qualified to do the job, extremely qualified to do the job.
So are we now talking about hiring him? Is this?
No, he's already been
part-time?
hired. That's what generated the
He is
grievance.
not
hired. He's been
Appointed.
called back. Called back.
Appointed
What's he been appointed to?
as an assistant under state law.
Appointed. Did he have to take an oath?
Yes, he did.
In a year when we have no elections.
Yes.
That's
It
12
doesn't say
hours.
that.
That's
The law does not say
No,
that.
it
The
doesn't.
law does not say
It
that.
allows for common sense.
$10,000?
Yeah, at $23 an hour.
We have a citizen who wants to speak.
Okay,
I don't
let
know
her
how you
speak.
wanna handle it.
Well, wait till John gets back.
Yeah, it's a part-time position.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Then it becomes a moot point, really. All right, go ahead. Come to the podium. Where's
Just
John?
real quick, we're losing all these people here.
John, we need you now.
John, you need
John?
No potty, this isn't a
I hope he
social
went.
break.
Could I use public comment to make a quick general announcement? Because we're losing so many people here. And I just want you to know that a gentleman, I believe it's Mr. Bernhardt, said to call Matt Colazar's office. Matt Colazar submitted this morning, or actually this afternoon, a grant request for $25,000 for the Plymouth community. And it is now in the hands of State Representative Ann Bolin, chairperson of the House of Representatives Appropriations Committee. So it's been strongly recommended that you call Ann Bolin's office to urge that the grant request be funded, if not partially, fully. Thank you.
All right, let's refocus here on how to resolve this. This is no good. It ties the hands of our department and budget. Jerry, we want you to be a bigger steward of township resources.
I'm not?
No, I didn't say you're not. We just said we want to be a bigger steward.
How much bigger do I need to be? Do you know what, last year, we had 3 elections.
That's
You know
last
year. You know the 75 days that you're required to go check those boxes? I did it every day. I didn't let someone else, I didn't require someone else. I could have had people work overtime and do it. I went on holidays. I went on Saturdays and Sundays. I was the sole person that did that. And I did that to save money. I could have required overtime to go Saturday and Sunday and holidays. I could have done that. I had the authority to do that. I didn't do it. I did all of it myself, even though.
And I'm advocating that there's.
Even though I'm battling stage 4 cancer, I still did it. You're not going to undermine me and say that I'm not a good person who looks after the township's money.
So, Jerry, you've spent a lot of time lawyering since I came on board, so I think you can focus on this. I think we can get it done. So, I'm asking you I'm just going by observation and what I read here in the letter. Observation is I cannot deny the facts. They are what they are. So there's something going on that is an opportunity that we can save money and make it more efficient.
Are we bound to that January 1st, or if in 3
No,
months from
no,
now,
we're not.
the clerk's office is saying, supervisor, we can't get this work done. We've got
First of
to
all,
hire someone.
and we can't forget the union is involved in this. This is a union position.
Right, unions, we're in the auto industry here. We deal with the unions all the time. We know how to do
What
it.
is the union exactly saying? They're saying, we need someone, we need help? Or
No, they want that person
the
to be
union saying
a
we need to
dues-paying
hire
person.
We need to hire this person.
They're saying it is a union position, and we want you to fill it. That's what they're saying.
So then what would you say back to that?
What would I say? I'm
Yeah,
not the clerk, but what I would say back to them is if I don't have the work, I'm not going to hire the person, period.
The management rights are such that the position does not have to be filled. The union can't say you must fill it.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. So
Yeah,
it's
someone
management
in a
rights.
fire situation.
So,
I'm saying it's necessary. And I'm the person.
and I'm
who's the
saying
clerk.
that let's moderate it.
The clerk has been
Find
given.
can you,
a
Jerry,
lot
try to,
of power.
can you find a middle ground?
Yeah,
Can
the
you
next
find-
budget session, when it comes up again
2026.
in 2026, make it 1 day a week.
No, we don't want to do that necessarily because that's an election year.
No, I meant the next vacant year. This has already been funded.
That doesn't matter.
And
A budget is a plan.
and the
A budget is a plan. It doesn't say.
And the person was working.
set in stone.
The person was working January through
I know.
March. That position was working January through March, 2 days a week.
And had nothing to do.
That's not true.
So, but now
Yes,
you're
it is.
saying you only need
That's what she
someone
told
1 day
HR.
a week? I'm confused.
There's some personality conflicts going on that do not touch what is really going on here. And I'm saddened by that because I treat all my people fairly. And I'm sorry that that happens, but there's some personality animus that's going on in this discussion.
You're making it personal, it's not
No, I'm
personal.
not.
Yes, you are.
Because I
Yes, you
love
are.
the gal. She's done a wonderful
So
job.
this is an analytical business decision, really, based on workload and cost.
So the disagreement is that there are people, including I'm sorry, you folks, I can't hear, thank you. There are people that, there is a fundamental disagreement as to whether there's enough workload for this people. The clerk, who's the boss of the department, says there is. The former employee says there's not. We have and that's the only question on the table. Chuck, you want to delay till January. Why can't we find a middle ground? And find a solution that you can live with, Jerry?
According to the Honorable Dwayne Zantop, he FOIA'd some salaries, and the clerk makes $120,000 a year. The deputy makes $86,000 a year.
Same thing in the treasurer's department.
Yeah, what's going on?
It's a mirror.
And then the paltry dollar an hour assistance? Holy Moses.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I don't know what your point is.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll do. If it's okay with the union, we can make it 1 day a week.
You already know, it's public knowledge.
You're gonna have to work that out with them. We can't do it here.
No, but what I'm saying is.
The representatives of the union are here in the back of the room.
I need a person that's skilled and trained to work in QVF, and you have to access QVF frequently, otherwise you get kicked out and you gotta be retrained again. It's just one of the rules.
4 hours a week at your will. I'll agree to that, and then we don't need to make a motion.
No, just. No, 1 day a week.
Pardon?
It's kind of interesting to me, like earlier when we talked about the Station Fire 3 department, this is going back earlier today.
Station Fire 3.
The Station Fire for the, install the,
Alarms, or the fire.
the fire department. The fire department for Station 3 for $140,000. Nobody made a prep, everybody just grabbed it and said, you're $140,000, that's fine. And we've been arguing now for over an hour about $20,000.
And maybe it's
I
about
really don't
more
care.
than that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Well, for some
We
people.
just spent $140,000, but we could, it could be next year, could whatever the case may be.
It's real simple. It's a position that from January to March was already working.
Hold on, you need to be recognized. There was somebody there that was ahead of you. So hold on.
That's okay, you go ahead.
So tell us who you are for the benefit.
I'm Kelly Ladawick. I am the union president for the TPOAM, who is the ones who answer the phones for you guys when you call.
Ma'am, don't forget, it's our meeting, so we're making the decisions. Keep it here. They're not.
So this is not, I am not a public speaker. I do not like talking to people. So give me,
You work in the township and you don't like talking to people?
I like talking on the phone,
Okay.
which I do very well. Ask any of my constituents. So what this is you're trying to save a paltry amount of money for a part-time position that's needed. Jerry wants to appoint a person to come in and work that same job that's already in our contracts. It's a union position. So you're violating our union contract by having somebody come in and do work that is already described in our union contracts.
So that's not the case. If you come in here for 4 hours, they're at the union job, they're at the same wage that they were before. It's not, it's called management rights. I had the discussion with you and your business agent, and he agreed. So
But what she's
But we
saying
don't
is
want
the
an
person is
appointee
already
coming
there.
in and doing a union
Well,
job.
then he can unappoint the person and turn him into the union job.
So you put him in the union job.
They can, if you can work that out, that's good. 4 hours
We
a
have
week.
the job. We have it in our contract. You're eroding our contract
No.
with the township.
Contracts are,
person would be in the union, wouldn't
yes, they'd be in the union. I have the solution. 4 hours a week, they're in the union.
We don't care what that's a part-time job. They still have to be in the union
just
to
said
do
that.
the
Yes, I
part-time
agree.
job. So you have to hire the part-time job.
Unless they're election
If you had,
assistants,
if you
then they're
agreed to
not.
12,500.
Unless he appoints, and then he
That would
can't
be-
have that
that would be
person working
16.9
those,
hours a
those
week. Yeah, that wouldn't-
items
doesn't
because it's a
accomplish what I want.
union contract. It violates our union.
Now he wants to cut it down to
Well,
less.
I want to save money because
You're not saving money.
first of all, I don't think the position
rest of the
needs
year?
to be filled at this
You've
time.
made that abundantly clear. You've put
Right.
us in the middle of your rock and a hard place. And we are not comfortable being here.
So,
You're right.
I say you take this deal, 4 hours a week,
It's
they're in the
not a
union.
deal for us. We need you to hire the
Okay,
position.
then we don't hire anybody, is that what you're asking?
No, I'm telling you, you need to hire the position. You get to define the hours, that's between you and whoever you hire.
So I'm offering.
But the position
okay.
has to be a union position.
Right, it
It
will
can't
be.
be an appointee doing union work.
Well, then he can find someone else who's not an appointee.
He cannot have an appointee doing union work.
So he can unappoint them. Or he can find another person for 4 hours a week in the union job.
4
have
hours
to
will
hire
not
the
solve my
position.
problem.
I think it will.
No, it won't.
4 hours? I bet it
4
will.
hours will not solve my problem.
Well, when the person says there's not enough work, 4 hours
This
is
is a
good.
person who doesn't like the person I want to hire. And so, that makes me
So-
sad. That makes me terribly sad, because I like all these people, all of them. I love all of them dearly. They do good work. I need someone who's qualified in the qualified voter file, who is trained to train other people, who is trained to manage elections. This person has all those qualifications.
We totally agree with what you're saying, that they have the qualifications, but I don't think there's enough work. Do you have a question?
Yes,
Or a
I
comment?
want to give a little comments from whatever happened here. What it is he's trying to save money, and we can channel that money that he saved for something that is urgent, that we really need it right now until June we are gonna be dissolved. So
But we
think about.
cannot tie that here. We can't, there's no, we can't
Okay,
tie that
I won't
together.
tie it, but it's like personal thing. Like you love these people. You love these people that will help you on the job. And if the supervisor already saw it, observed from many years that he's been in that position before he became a supervisor, he saw what can be saved, what can be spent more. He knows. So respect that. That's all I want to say.
This is not like any other job. This is the fundamental right to vote.
I think we should just take a vote. I'm ready.
I don't want to vote on this motion.
What would you
Let's
change the
change the
motion to be,
motion.
Bob?
Well, let's go back to that conversation. Were you talking about $10,000 for
Well-
the rest of the year?
Well, $10,000 for the rest of the year doesn't, apparently I did the wrong math, because if that's full-time job, that totally
It's not
fills.
full-time.
No, it's 15 hours a week.
No, it would be about 12.
Well, okay, that's 15. I'm saying, agree to 4 hours a week, and let's go home.
Nobody's going to hire.
Well, no, he's already got the guy.
No, but
It's Joseph Tax is already in the office,
I need the
generated
person-
a grievance.
I need the person more than 4 hours a week.
And I say no.
You're not working it. I've worked it for the past 9 years, and I've done
Yeah.
almost a dozen elections.
Excuse
All
me.
right, I don't, Jerry,
Can I have
need
your
you to
attention,
change
please?
this language.
What do you want to say, Bob?
Because I don't want to, I want to affirm that the clerk and treasurer have the authority to determine who is hired in their departments with the advice of the supervisor if he so chooses to
So he gets to
advise.
veto.
No,
someone that's
that isn't my,
I just want to use the word
okay.
advice.
Responsibility, I think.
When the police department has hired numerous people since I came on board, and every one of them came to see me. I didn't interview them, I met them. That's all I asked, is that I would meet them. And you have blown this into,
You told me you wanted a veto. That's what you told me.
No, I'd rather not. Okay, I know the two people you're selecting or considering are not, in my opinion, people who are loved by the community. But you
They
can
did a
do whatever
great
you
job.
want in that case.
So how would
This
you
guy
change
got
it?
up here and told you about one of them.
How would you change? How would you change your? Tell me a change in the language, Bob.
Well, the second clause, and affirm that the clerk and treasurer have the ultimate authority for determining the selection of staff.
I want to delete that completely.
Well, I don't.
Ultimate authority.
I don't know. I'm trying to make it up on the fly.
It doesn't work that way.
Affirming that the clerk and
Discretion to the
treasurer
supervisor.
have the discretion to choose.
You choose your deputies.
No, but we got to have people we can work with.
Oh, of course you do.
Of course, agreed.
I got to have people who are trained.
Okay, we can train people.
So,
So I propose that we make a motion authorizing that the position be posted and hire a person for 4 hours per week
4 hours is
as
not
the
enough.
part-time administrative assistant
It's not
in the
enough
clerk's
time.
department, period.
When people
And
go
then
on
it solves the
vacation,
problem.
when people
10
get
hours.
sick.
10, 12
You
hours.
can't hire a person just to fill in for people because they go on
But that's,
vacation
no,
or
no,
they're sick.
but that's one of the roles that they do.
I gave you the fix. It's,
Is
Don't-
public comments closed? Because we gotta go.
well, not yet. I gave you the fix,
This
which is
chaos. We
shut
gotta get
down, just
control
hold on,
here.
okay.
Gotta get control. This is not their meeting, it's our meeting to make the decision.
Bob, 4 hours
I
doesn't do it for
understand
me.
that completely, but
It doesn't do it for me. It doesn't help me.
you must talk on this subject, not something to do with the senior program. That'll be at the end. Okay, all right,
But this meeting right here.
okay.
My name is Marilyn Albee. I have been a township resident for 29 years. I pay your salary because I pay your taxes. Do you follow Robert's Rules of Order? You have been arguing this meeting, just round out. This is the worst meeting I have ever seen run. I have run meetings for other organizations as the leader of other organizations. Take control, for crying out loud, and limit debate. You are going round and round and round. If this is what my pet tax dollars are paying for, this is terrible. There's no reason, I don't understand.
This is debate. Debate is good.
Somebody
Debate
needs
is
to
good.
limit debate. If you
Debate,
followed
we're not
Robert's Rules
gonna
of Order.
we're not gonna operate like city commissions or school boards where everything is pre-orchestrated. We don't do that here.
I see that.
Yes, that's how we percolate good ideas. All right,
But you're getting nothing done. You are accomplishing nothing. You're arguing in circles.
we're percolating up ideas. That's if you ever watch Congress, they vote. I mean, they talk.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Nothing gets done there.
they filibuster. So,
Bob, how would you change the second sentence then? Or the second portions?
Well, the first side of that is that let's agree to put a cap on the budget. 4 hours a week, I don't think is enough because it's a
okay,
specialized.
then make it 8 hours a week. I can agree to that. Let's do it.
8 hours a week through the rest of the year,
Yes.
2 half days.
Or however I use the 8 hours.
Yeah,
Whatever you use, 8
whatever blows your hair back.
Okay. 8 hours a day.
8 hours a week, not a day.
I mean, a week.
Good, almost,
Okay, and then how would you change?
We're not going to have anything else. That's just what we're going to say. 8 hours a week for this. You don't know this reaffirming and whatever. That's all into township law. Okay, we know who does what. So, do we have a motion that says
Authorizing
Bob?
the immediate posting and hiring for the vacant part-time administrative assistant for the clerk's department for 8 hours a week.
Excuse me.
compromise is good.
If I could just say this one thing, you have a motion on the floor.
Not yet.
Well, you have a proposed motion. So you-
No, this is just the words are written down. We haven't put that on the floor.
Well, then it shouldn't have been proposed motion, it just said, should have said discussion, because you have a motion on the floor, you have to vote
No, that's
that
the way we do
down.
business. We put a proposed motion up under the agenda item.
And discuss it.
And
We're
discuss it.
deliberating it right now
We're deliberating.
before we
Okay.
make the motion.
So we're,
Then you're gonna make another motion?
And then we'll make a motion.
if we don't make this motion, that motion that's just the proposed words.
So that's just discussion. Is that correct?
It's for purpose of discussion.
And then after that, you will make another motion?
Yeah.
And then you will discuss that motion, because that has to be up for discussion again,
may-
too, if you make another
We're
motion.
not bound by Robert's Rules of Orders in detail.
But sometimes you should be, because then you'd get your meetings done a little quicker.
Look, I've been here since 7 o'clock in the morning, all right? I'm not tired. I can go till midnight, I can assure you. And I'm 70 years old.
You've also been working in government for 28 years.
No, I haven't. I worked 42 years in the private sector in factories and offices that design and add value, not make up stuff.
Okay, then how about this? We make it to 8 hours and then say that this resolves the grievance also. So that we can get it all done at once.
It'll be it's a union job.
Yeah, that it's a union job and it
Do you have to
resolves
put
the
that in
grievance.
there?
Let's just put it in there and that way they know that it's being done.
Okay?
That it's a
I'm
union.
going against my better judgment, but I will agree with that compromise so that we can close this time-wasting issue. Not here is the time wasting. It's in my office during the day where this gentleman spends a lot of time trying to undermine me.
Not
All right,
true.
go ahead.
Okay, I'm making a motion. I move to adopt resolution 2025-04-2227, authorizing the immediate posting and hiring for the vacant part-time administrative assistant to the clerk's department for 8 hours a week only as a union position, hereby resolving the grievance. Let's see, there's a grievance number. There's a grievance number.
You don't know 100% whether the union's going to agree to that.
We're authorizing it. They may tell us to blow smoke. Authorizing the settlement of grievance number 25-132. And I've got that number.
Second.
Okay, made by Borba, second
So let's
by.
repeat it one more time.
Okay. I move the adoption of resolution 2025-04-2237, authorizing the immediate posting and hiring for the vacant part-time administrative assistant in the clerk's department for 8 hours a week only.
Average 8 hours a week.
Average 8 hours a week only.
Average?
Well,
Yeah, they might need him 12 one week and 4 the next. He should have some
No,
flexibility.
let's
don't
just go
want
eight-
that
let's just go-
flex.
Let's just
No,
go
no.
8 hours a week. 8 hours a week only, hereby resolving the union grievance number 25-132.
Second.
Second by Dorshevitz.
Who made the motion?
I did, Borba. Clerk Borba, yes. Clinton,
Yes.
Buckley,
Yes.
Dorshevitz,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Groth,
No, but I do appreciate the spirit of cooperation between everyone.
Supervisor Kermy.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Great job, everybody.
Okay. All right. Any more comments? We're at the end of the meeting. Any more public comments? It's not that late. It's only 9:15.
First of all, my name is William Zantap, I guess you know that by now. I'm very concerned. I don't think we want, this gentleman's going to get up and talk about marijuana. I'd like to see him limited to the time limit. This gentleman right here is going to get up and talk about marijuana. I don't think these seniors really want marijuana in this township.
But he has the right to
There's
speak.
one person. But the other thing is, in the last couple years, I've lived through hell. There was a gentleman out in the hall that was harassing me again tonight. He writes on the you laughing, Jerry? His name, I'll tell you his name, McCurdy. He was out there with Kurt Heisey. He's been harassing me and other members of this board for years. And the things I've gone through is incredible. In this court case, it really makes me feel good to have it dismissed because I did not do anything. I'm on the Wayne 6 committee and I train people. I know I wasn't in violation of the law. I don't know what Jerry's going to say, but I was not in violation of any laws. I was perfectly right, not standing there with a shirt on or anything, or a sign. I was on the sidewalk. American disabilities, I can be on the sidewalk too. Anyways, thank you.
Good evening, Board. I'm Glenn Miller. I'm with the Plymouth Township Police Department. I'm the Senior Records Clerk, and I'm also the steward of TPOAM here. I want to say thank you for your deliberations tonight. Thank you for coming to a compromise. I just want to point out that your resolution and vote does not make the grievance go away automatically. The union will be discussing it, and we will be voting on it within the next few days, and we will let everybody on the board know what our decision is. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm sorry, what? You have something to say?
Dale, you've been up here 3 times already.
Dale Bernhardt, just one real quick question
He's
with the
allowed to.
Northville Downs
3 times,
lawsuit.
right.
Did any Plymouth Township money go out to support the lawsuit at all? Did we spend any money, taxpayer money?
We probably spent a little bit to Kevin Bennett, but in reality, we pay it because the insurance company system is set up where you have a reserve.
Okay, I didn't know if anything was over and above that the insurance didn't cover, that the township had to cover.
Yeah, we also paid for the insurance. Well, we pay for the insurance, of course.
Correct.
The reserve, and I don't have the piece of paper with me that tells how much the law firm hired by MMRMA, our insurance company, paid out to date.
So we may be receiving some bills?
Probably not. It's all rolled up in our reserve that we have to keep at a minimum of $100,000. So indirectly, we're paying for it.
Okay, so it's coming out of the reserve. We
Yeah.
just happen to put the money off to the side, but
Yeah.
we're still paying for it.
Right.
Okay, very good, thank you.
And I've got to learn more about how that reserve system works. I'm not 100% up to speed on it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes?
Go ahead.
You got to stay to the 3 minutes.
No ad hominem attacks.
Good evening again, trustees. Roman Benson up again, representing the interests of a family-owned business doing business as B&B Corporation, AKA Canna Club.
Pardon? Yeah, but he has the right to do it again. It's 3 places you can speak. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
Starting you over.
A couple of things I just want to address within the time frame that's allotted to me is, after reviewing the minutes, newspaper articles that were written about the proposal back in 2017-19, and then as early as 2022, one of the stipulations from trustees and people were saying, you know what, people can go elsewhere. They're absolutely correct. I did a little research. You can go to Ypsilanti, you can go to Inkster, you can go to Walled Lake, you go to Hazel Park, Wayne, Ann Arbor, Commerce, and you can go to Westland. So those are communities that people can go to for recreational cannabis. Now in Westland, ideally, 7 to 8 miles from any one location, 20 minutes by car ride. The reason I bring it up is Plymouth is such an eclectic community. It's a thriving community. It has a little bit of everything for everybody. And if you look at the last result of the elections, respectfully, when it comes to people who voted yes to recreational cannabis, you did get a majority of people. Now let's assume those people live in the township, and let's assume only half of them have to go out and go get some. In a community where you can walk, bike, commute casually within 1 minute to 5 minutes by car, from across town it took me almost less than 5 minutes to get here. These people have to go and get in a car and drive 7 to 8 miles minimum, 20 minutes to just buy one product. They're going to that community, spending money, putting money in that community, so why not take the money that these other communities are getting for having the store and just put it back in the pocket? The support's there, the majority is there. We are a family-run business by the Benson and Belas. We're not going to be a corporate retailer. We're not into big signages. We're not into balloons. We're not into any type of conspicuousness. Wherever we've opened a store, we do two things. We preserve and blend in with the surroundings of the community. We do it with discretion and complete respect to its history and its future. I've taken the liberty to show you the photos of what the other stores look like, and I do encourage anyone to do the same. I'll listen to any information the trustees have brought to me about articles. I'll look at those websites, and vice versa. I hope that you will take a time to look at the articles that I brought to you. In the end, I'll finish up with, all we're going to be doing is adding value and money to the community. The value is a 5-star company with a AAA rating. The money will just be put into a thriving community's overall attractiveness. All we're going to do is put another spoke in the wheel. On average, one retail store can contribute $63,000 a year or $5,000 a month, not counting real estate taxes, hiring people, employees, etc. Thank you for your time.
Mary Pine, sorry I have to do this, but I have to. Putting another spoke in the wheel is reminding me of, so how many people are possibly going to get hurt by your spoke in the wheel? Because I have been hurt very badly by someone who was not breathalyzed. Also, you're saying that they'll give further money into the community, but you're like the horse lady. We now have a male horse lady here. This is what you want for yourself. It will ruin the reputation of our community. And you can be as discreet as you want, but a lot of people aren't going to want this. If you're going to have to give extra money to the community, one of the problems with the racetrack is that a circuit court judge called it a problem for the health, safety, and welfare of the community. You are going to be a detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community, and I have a real problem with this. But I guess you're the new horse lady. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Estelle Oliansky. I have a different take on this. Why don't you guys allow this gentleman to be on the agenda so once and for all you can vote on it and we don't have to listen to it every meeting? Appreciate that. Thanks.
That's his strategy.
Mr. Supervisor, Jim Nitel, 30-year resident, Plymouth Township. I just wanted to mention that in March, we lost a resident, Leonard Euler. Len was a friend of mine, resident of Plymouth Township. Len was a United States Air Force veteran, where he worked in strategic analysis with the Air Force. Len and I worked together for the Drug Enforcement Administration. I was a group supervisor, and Len was also a group supervisor. Glenn retired as a DEA agent and then went back into service as a reserve with the Air Force. Len served, and Len and I spoke many times on issues that were happening in his area, Deer Creek. He was the president of the Homeowners Association, just a fantastic resident of ours and friend of mine, so I just thought I would mention Len and his wife and his children are obviously mourning, but if we could, I'd like to have just a quick moment of silence for my friend Len Euler. Thank you. Thank you for his service. And I'd also like to mention, if it's okay, as the police chief here in Plymouth Township, especially for our seniors, on Saturday, this coming Saturday at 2 locations, we're going to have the Drug Enforcement Administration Operation Take Back, that will occur. We've partnered with Kroger's as well as the Township Hall here, so we'll have police officers at both locations from 10 a.m. in the morning till 2 o'clock. You're welcome to bring any prescription drugs that you no longer want in your residence, that you want to properly dispose of, and we'll take those. We do not take liquids for this operation. All the narcotics that are taken in the last few, we've had over 60 pounds of narcotics that were brought in and safely disposed of by the Drug Enforcement Administration. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
So the time and place again?
Yes, sir. The Kroger's at Ann Arbor Road in Sheldon. We'll have a tent right out front there. I'll have an officer assigned to that. And then we'll also have one right here at the police department, a second officer for that. 10 a.m. in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon this coming Saturday.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, Bill Ikes, 12855 Hidden Creek Drive, resident, 23 years here in Plymouth Township. In the last 72 hours, we've had 3 major things happen. 1, we celebrated the resurrection. 2, the Pistons won a playoff game for the first time in the last 18 years. And 3, that lawsuit got dismissed. So that's huge, okay? That being said, right, what Ms. Haw did not clarify on the amendment to the language for the signage, right? The escape point has now been eliminated, okay? Where the right date gets checked on the document before it gets printed, on the sign that goes up. The sign has to be up for 15 days before, has to be taken down by 7 days after. That doesn't mean knocked down to the ground and left on the property. So the who does what by when, it's all in there, right? Which is an improvement, right? Which hopefully can, going forward, help everybody in the community. Second thing, right, that I wanted to mention here was with respect to a position that may or may not have enough work to do, okay? The work is needed in the clerk's office, without a doubt, right? Election laws keep changing. I myself have submitted 88 affidavits for people that have been verified to have moved out of the state of Michigan. That work was committed to be done at the end of January, right? It's still going on. Hopefully it gets finished soon with the additional 8 hours per week that was approved today. I'm very hopeful of that. And again, I just want to thank the trustees for the work you guys are doing. The debate is good, okay? The outcome is just, and hopefully the township can keep moving in the right direction as it has been, because these meetings are significantly better than where they were 5 months ago and earlier. So I take my hat off to you guys for getting us going in the right direction as a team. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, board comments. Mark Clinton.
I'm good, thank you.
Ken Buckley.
Pass, I gotta think about something real quick.
Bob Dorshevitz.
I've had enough.
All right. Jerry Vorba.
Hey, thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor. I just want to comment on a couple of things, and I do want to thank the public out there when they look at budgets and they look at bills, that they scrutinize those things and have questions. Perfectly appropriate, and I encourage that when they scrutinize the bills that we pay. For the issue at the early voting center at the Risen Christ Lutheran Church, the $150, that is not necessarily for storage of voting equipment and machines like that. The state law required us to put in internet and put in recording devices, cameras, put in the voting drop box. These are all still on their property. And I had a discussion earlier this year with the supervisor, and I said, you know, it's gonna cost me thousands of dollars to pull all that stuff out. Can I work out a deal to where I just leave it there and just pay them kind of like a rental fee, like it was a rental storage? And he says, yes, as long as it was reasonable. And we came up with $150 a month, and that's what that's for. The cameras are still there, the recording device is there, the internet stuff is still there, that Dropbox is still there, because we still don't know where we're ultimately going to have the voting center next year. I hope it's there because it's in the right location for, in accordance with the state law. And everyone can shake their heads if they want to. The state law requires a number of things in order for that to be a valid place. And that's what we did. We looked at all the conditions in the law, and that fit that. Now, the board may decide to do something different, but if the state says, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't adhere to state law, we're gonna have to adhere to state law. And that's what we tried to do in doing that. So the $150 is something I spoke with the supervisor with earlier this year. So I wouldn't have to spend thousands of dollars to rip the stuff all out and then thousands of dollars to put the stuff back if it ended up in the same location. And so it was just a fair and equitable, we're using their space. There's a room that's about the size of what I would call a small bedroom, like 10 by 8, where all this equipment is housed. And so that's what that's really for. And also, remember, the state paid us over $200,000 for working as part of the paying for the early voting center. So listen, it's all our tax money, but it didn't come from our coffers. It came from the state that paid that. And so we diligently kept track of all of our costs, and we received that money from the state. And so the notion that we're not being diligent or that we're not trying to take care of the township's funds, it's okay to question it. I don't mind. I'm not offended by it, but I just want you to know the facts. So thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor, and thank the board for listening to my requests.
Sandy?
I'm just going to share with you, Mr. Benson, is that correct? And with the audience, just a memory that I have of the last time a group of people came in and wanted to do the marijuana thing. And we had this room totally packed with people, a lot of whom came from Westland, Garden City, Dearborn. And the thing, I was not a board member, I was just a township employee and a citizen. And the thing that struck me as comical was that those people all said, we just want to come to Plymouth Township to buy marijuana because we want to come someplace safe. Where we live is not safe. I just wanted to share that comedy with you.
Huh? I don't. My memory's pretty good. Pull my chain. I don't think that ever. Go ahead. It might.
Speaking positively, I was glad to be the elected representative at the State of the Community luncheon at the Cultural Center, where over 110 people attended. The township was not well represented, other than the fact that the supervisor unemotionally, factually, talked about traffic, jobs, and a full-strength police department. Susie Deal, the mayor of Plymouth, was just as kind as possible and very compatible to work with. I want to thank the supervisor for the consistent opinion that the property west of town was intended for high-tech, industrial, manufacturing, and I predict that we will have a purchaser in the next 90 days because it's all set to go. We have to just continue to be diligent and respectful of that process of someone possibly purchasing the land. However, on page 15 and 22 of the opinion that I've had 24 hours, the lawsuit belonged in the state court, the $10 million lawsuit. And Judge Brittany McMillan, said so. On page 22, she said, these issues should be best addressed and raised in a Michigan state court. On page 15, and I don't like to be read to, the plaintiff has no protective property rights. Whether a person has a property interest is traditionally a question of state law and belongs in the state courts. I see no appeal in the federal court. I don't know if they're going to file a case in the state court. But then, humor. They're making fun of us. And I even laughed about it. Because reading verbatim from the opinion of the federal judge, Plymouth Township, Carlo Brothers and Kurt Heisey need to hold their horses. The court needs to encourage them to rein in their drive. The court finds that the Northville Downs put the cart before the horse, and they are not entitled to relief. No one went to the Michigan Gaming and Control Board and said, do you think we can get a permit for gambling? I mean, it's hilarious. It's disgusting. Now, I will end on a downer note that I've never disclosed, that absolutely none of you can talk about. 10 years ago, when there was a cash flow problem at the Michigan Philharmonic, the board said, nonprofits, you can take home 10% of the profit for your institution, the Michigan Philharmonic. For 1 year, Beth Stewart and noble women like Kate Roosevelt, Jane Libbing, and Kathy Hasse went to Northville Downs for one night a month. Beth came home with thousands of dollars, Chief, and she had to take that to the bank the next day. The atmosphere there is a cash business. And I know this is not politically advantageous to myself, but I found it of low degree. I did not go with her. But my wife experienced selling chips and the atmosphere there at Northville Downs one night a month, and I was disappointed and disgusted and embarrassed with myself as a husband who had to have his wife go do that work. So I am unalterably opposed to more gambling and anachronistic, outdated harness racing, which has not been her chariot racing. So let's set the record straight here. And I was just appalled at the gall of the former supervisor to stand out there and say, he got it dismissed. No, no, no. It was a procedural dismissal. There was no dismissal on the substance of the issues, but that whole group, they deserve themselves. I don't go to bars and I don't go to casinos, and I don't gamble. So I just hang out and wait for Bobby to pull the pie out of the refrigerator at the Council on Aging. Thank you very much and good night.
All right, I have, the next meeting, I'm considering, wanted your opinion, to bring the pipeline Salem Springs. We have, technically the route hasn't changed, it's still Ann Arbor Road to Joy Road to Ridge. Now I know some of you wanted some type of community benefit / ransom. So if we got it, do we want to do it at the next meeting? Think about it and get.
When's the next meeting?
May
13? Yeah. The other one would be the day after Memorial Day. And also, the sprayscape construction is planned for next week. And it should take 2 weeks to do.
Did you address that lady that emailed you?
Yeah, I mean.
Because she's way late to the game.
That's a drum roll.
Yeah, she wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we ready for a motion to adjourn?
Somebody ready to move to adjourn?
John?
Please.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion accepted. We're adjourned.
Hey, I can go another 3 hours.
You can all by
Are we
yourself.
ready?